Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan absolutely now to that qualifying line by a brave transition from Korpelinski as they get into outside zone 4 onto the Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan absolutely now to that qualifying line by a brave transition from Korpelinski as they get into outside zone 4 onto the wall. Goes Shanahan as they transition back again. The final two outside zones away, but a look at Korpelinski onto the door, onto the front wheel.
Unbelievable. Last run of the night. Jack Shanahan in the chase position. They come off the line. Jack Shanahan, he's creeping forward. This is for all the marbles.
Oh, look at this. Korpelinski starts to squeeze Shanahan on the inside, but Shanahan doesn't have any of it. Dives down. Korpelinski looks for that qualifying line, comes up short on outside zone 3. Shanahan, brave dive onto outside zone 4. Glues that GTA to the front wheel of Pavel Korpelinski as they come back across the track once again. Korpelinski looks to open it up, and he does. He drives away from Shanahan.
I don't know. Transitions better from Shanahan. Overall proximity better from Korpelinski. You're watching the best in the world right now. Who is the winner? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan has won round 5.
Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan absolutely now to that qualifying line by a brave transition from Korpelinski as they get into outside zone 4 onto the wall. Goes Shanahan as they transition back again. The final two outside zones away, but a look at Korpelinski onto the door, onto the front wheel.
Unbelievable. Last run of the night. Jack Shanahan in the chase position. They come off the line. Jack Shanahan, he's creeping forward. This is for all the marbles.
Oh, look at this. Korpelinski starts to squeeze Shanahan on the inside, but Shanahan doesn't have any of it. Dives down. Korpelinski looks for that qualifying line, comes up short on outside zone 3. Shanahan, brave dive onto outside zone 4. Glues that GTA to the front wheel of Pavel Korpelinski as they come back across the track once again. Korpelinski looks to open it up, and he does. He drives away from Shanahan.
I don't know. Transitions better from Shanahan. Overall proximity better from Korpelinski. You're watching the best in the world right now. Who is the winner? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan has won round 5 of the Drift Masters European Championship.
Well, there you have it. Round 5 was absolutely packed to the rafters with action. And now let's take a look at our championship standings after all of that. So in first place, we've got Peter Wiensek, and then just 10 points behind him, Jack Shanahan himself, and then followed by his brother, Connor Shanahan, and then James Dean. It has been a crazy year, and Jack has come down to join me on the track here. Jack, you are currently sitting in second position. That's just 10 points behind Peter. You've got to tell me, you're fighting for your first European Championship. What has it taken to get you here to this point, stood in front of me right now?
Yeah, so this is, I think it's the second time I've been within a chance of winning the championship. But I think this is like the only time I actually can do it mathematically, like throughout the battles. But yeah, it's been like I've been drifting for 10 years now. I've competed in all over Europe since 2013. So like it's been a long time coming to try to get to this point, to be this close. So we're not going to give up on right now. So we're just going to it's been a lot of hard work.
Forward. This is for all the marbles.
Oh, look at this. Korpelinski starts to squeeze Shanahan on the inside, but Shanahan doesn't have any of it. Dives down. Korpelinski looks for that qualifying line, comes up short on outside zone 3. Shanahan, brave dive onto outside zone 4. Glues that GTA to the front wheel of Pavel Korpelinski as they come back across the track once again. Korpelinski looks to open it up, and he does. He drives away from Shanahan.
I don't know. Transitions better from Shanahan. Overall proximity better from Korpelinski. You're watching the best in the world right now. Who is the winner? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan has won round 5 of the Drift Masters European Championship.
Well, there you have it. Round 5 was absolutely packed to the rafters with action. And now let's take a look at our championship standings after all of that. So in first place, we've got Peter Wiensek, and then just 10 points behind him, Jack Shanahan himself, and then followed by his brother, Connor Shanahan, and then James Dean. It has been a crazy year, and Jack has come down to join me on the track here. Jack, You're currently sitting in second position. That's just 10 points behind Peter. You've got to tell me, you're fighting for your first European Championship. What has it taken to get you here to this point, stood in front of me right now?
Yeah, so this is, I think it's the second time I've been within a chance of winning the championship. But I think this is like the only time I actually can do it mathematically, like throughout the battles. But yeah, it's been like I've been drifting for 10 years now. I've competed in all over Europe since 2013. So like it's been a long time coming to try to get to this point, to be this close. So we're not going to give up on right now. So we're just going to it's been a lot of hard work. Like there's been ups and downs and everything. So it's just one of those sports where like you kind of love it and hate it all at the one time. And yeah, like when you look around at the moment of like right now, it's like a spectacle of drifting. So like you can't hate it no matter what the result is tonight. But yeah, it's unbelievable.
And the emotions that are involved in drifting, you know, for you guys sitting at home, like you're watching this and it's such a show, but for a driver, it is incredible. Like 1 minute you can be at the top of your game and then the next minute it can all go away from you. Yeah,
like I think everyone like outside of the pit crew thinks it's just plain sailing, you know, like nobody sees the stress, the money, the amount of like preparation that goes into it and everything. So it's like, I don't know, it's actually very hard to explain how difficult it is to like get here and put on the show just for everybody, you know, like it's not just a matter of bringing the cars to the event, you know, there's a lot more work than that to get going basically, but it does make it worthwhile when this many people show up, you know.
And I was watching you in practice earlier. Now I saw that you might have had a small coming together with Benedictus Chirba. Is the car okay?
Yeah, so my first session this morning, I actually had an issue with a half shaft, so we had to take the car back to the pits. I missed nearly all the practice, and it was literally like the last 5 minutes. I just got out for one lap again, and I just sent it a little bit too hard and was going towards the wall, and I knew that the walls move when you hit them, so I didn't want to like wreck both of our cars, so I just spun, and it was my fault he hit me. It's not like he spun me or anything. So he just came together, he just touched my back wheel, so I don't think there was any damage done to his car. Obviously his car is much bigger than my GT86, so we just broke a bolt. The car is all aligned now again, so it should be okay. Everything looks like it's all pointing in the right direction, so it's only a matter of waiting and seeing now, so all you have to do is just sit in it, I guess.
The people back at home have just been watching Ferropolis, which it was an incredible event for you, obviously, when you're on the top step. Is it giving you a bit of wind in your sails ahead of this event, or is it just you're back to the start again every time you step foot into the arena?
To be honest, like with how my mindset works, it's nearly more of a back foot, to be honest, because going into Ferropolis, I had no chance to win the championship, really, you know, because I think if Peter made it to the top 4 in Ferropolis, and if I got knocked out like top 8 or something, he had the championship won anyway. So I went there with like no intentions of being able to win the championship, and I think that's kind of what made me drive better. As we're now this weekend,
Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan absolutely now to that qualifying line by a brave transition from Korpelinski as they get into outside zone 4 onto the wall. Goes Shanahan as they transition back again. The final 2 outside zones away, but Shanahan with a brave initiation. Korpelinski has the pace once again. Shanahan absolutely now to that qualifying line by a brave transition from Korpelinski as they get into outside zone 4 onto the wall. Goes Shanahan as they transition back again. The final 2 outside zones away, but look at Korpelinski onto the door, onto the front wheel.
Unbelievable. Last run of the night. Jack Shannon in the chase position. They come off the line. Jack Shannon, he's creeping forward. This is for all the marbles.
Oh, look at this. Korpelinski starts to squeeze Shanahan on the inside, but Shanahan doesn't have any of it. Dives down. Korpelinski looks for that qualifying line. Comes up short on outside zone 3. Shanahan, brave dive onto outside zone 4. Glues that GTA6 to the front wheel of Pavel Korpelinski as they come back across the track once again. Korpelinski looks to open it up, and he does. He drives away from Shanahan.
I don't know. Transitions better from Shanahan. Overall proximity better from Korpelinski. You're watching the best in the world right now. Who is the winner? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan has won round 5 of the Drift Masters European Championship.
Well, there you have it. Round 5 was absolutely packed to the rafters with action. And now let's take a look at our championship standings after all of that. So in first place, we've got Peter Wiensek, and then just 10 points behind him, Jack Shanahan himself, and then followed by his brother, Connor Shanahan, and then James Dean. It has been a crazy year, and Jack has come down to join me on the track here. Jack, You're currently sitting in second position. That's just 10 points behind Peter. You've got to tell me, you're fighting for your first European Championship. What has it taken to get you here to this point stood in front of me right now?
Yeah, so this is, I think it's the second time I've been within a chance of winning the championship. But I think this is like the only time I actually can do it mathematically, like throughout the battles. But yeah, it's been like I've been drifting for 10 years now. I've competed in all over Europe since 2013. So like it's been a long time coming to try to get to this point, to be this close. So we're not going to give up on right now. So we're just going to it's been a lot of hard work. Like there's been ups and downs and everything. So it's just one of those sports where like you kind of love it and hate it all at the one time. And yeah, like when you look around at the moment of like right now, it's like a spectacle of drifting. So like you can't hate it no matter what the result is tonight. But yeah, it's unbelievable.
And the emotions that are involved in drifting, you know, for you guys sitting at home, like you're watching this and it's such a show, but for a driver, it is incredible. Like 1 minute you can be at the top of your game and then the next minute it can all go away from you.
Yeah, like I think
So if you guys at home, but one of the other tougher jobs in this championship is trying to decide who wins and who loses. And that's down to our three judges, led by Kevin O'Connell. Kevin, this is going to be a tough one to decide.
Yeah, Dave, it's going to be an extremely tough job for all of those drivers trying to get through that top 32 bracket and further on after that as well. I watched a little bit of practice and I think we're going to have some serious fireworks coming here, even right from the off from the first battles. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. We're really going to be looking for some amazing proximity battles here. But look, I'll go through the criteria now, exactly what we will be looking for going forward for the rest of the evening. First thing that we always say, you can't have a good battle without a good lead run. We are going to be really analysing the lead driver's line here. We want to be them to be nailing that qualifying line the whole way throughout and running as close to that 100-point qualifying run as they possibly can. And we also want it to be nice and predictable so that the chase car knows where the lead car is going to be on track at all times, and also as well following that acceleration and deceleration map that we have outlined in the briefings. For the chase driver, obviously this track, as you said, is like an arena. We want maximum proximity the whole way throughout. We want them to be absolutely nailed onto the lead driver's door the whole way. Initiate no later than the lead driver. A very important one is to match or better the lead driver's angle. Very important here. We don't want to see them shallowing up on angle to maintain that proximity, and also to mimic the lead driver's transitions and line as well. We don't really want to see them deviating too much from that qualifying line to get up onto the door of the lead driver as well. So there's a lot of details there, but keep an eye out for it. It's going to be very important going through here when we're trying to separate these awesome drivers.
Thanks, Kev. It's going to be a tough job for Vernon, for David, and for Kevin. It's going to have all the eyes on them and their decisions tonight, but they're ready for it. They've set out a very challenging track, a very technical track. We're going to have a quick look at that now to give you guys a good visual representation. It's unusual, it's dangerous, and I'll tell you one thing, it's going to divide this grid. It's got 2 inner zones, one of them on a concrete wall, 4 outer zones, 2 deceleration zones, and a short 613-meter track. You come off the start line on a bend, full throttle, initiate with a weight transfer clutch kick into an outer zone 1. That's all concrete walls. And then it's an inner zone. Tuck the nose of the car in. This is one of the more exciting parts of the track, where you see the driver scrub the front of the car off the concrete wall. Never been seen before in drifting. Has been separating some of the runs right through qualifying. Then switch of transition, decelerate into outer zone 4. Keep the rear end of the car millimeters from the outside zone. And then it's a transition across the center of the arena. It's a tricky part. Got to get this all the way right. Keep the fluidity through the center of the section to get the car back out to that last outer zone, which is the longest outer zone on the track. Outer zone 5 and outer zone 6 need to be connected full throttle across the finish line, and you may have some of your car left together by the end of that. Traveler S15, and he will not have an opponent as Benediktas Čurba has an engine failure coming out of the paddock area. No compression in the engine. The first 2 battles are a non-starter, with the cars letting the drivers down. Long season, 6 rounds. They've done hundreds of laps, and now can these cars hold on? Look at the damage on every single car that's going to roll into this arena. Traveler S15, and he will not have an opponent as Benediktas Čurba has an engine failure coming out of the paddock area. No compression in the engine. The first two battles are a non-starter, with the cars letting the drivers down. Long season, 6 rounds. They've done hundreds of laps, and now, can these cars hold on? Look at the damage on every single car that's going to roll into this arena. Look at the stress levels of those pit crews behind the scenes. They're out of spare parts at this point. They've put these cars back together so many times this season, and our first two battles don't happen because of mechanical failure. This could be the tail of the tape for the championship and this final round, and it's heartbreaking to see so many amazing competitors fall so soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke about this just yesterday on a video, saying these cars have been put through the paces. We always talk about the drivers, we talk about the pressure.
Kevlar S15, and he will not have an opponent, as Benediktas Čurba has an engine failure coming out of the paddock area. No compression in the engine. The first two battles are a non-starter, with the cars letting the drivers down. Long season, 6 rounds. They've done hundreds of laps, and now, can these cars hold on? Look at the damage on every single car that's going to roll into this arena. Look at the stress levels of those pit crews behind the scenes. They're out of spare parts at this point. They've put these cars back together so many times this season, and our first two battles don't happen because of mechanical failure. This could be the tail of the tape for the championship and this final round, and it's heartbreaking to see so many amazing competitors fall so soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke about this just yesterday on a video, saying these cars have been put through the paces. We always talk about the drivers, we talk about the pressure that the drivers face going into these battles, because these are the best of the best. They are national champions in their own right, and they all collect together here at Drift Masters European Championship to put on that fight to see who is the best of those national champions. But the cars, we always forget about the cars, the engines, the gearboxes, the suspension, all the components inside those cars. They are under immense pressure every weekend.
Absolutely, it takes a horse and a jockey to win a race. You know what I mean? You can't run down on your own down the track. And to be honest, you know, Conor Shanahan, he had that hit. I'm wondering, that surely is the reasoning behind this failure, and they were panicking. We heard word just as Becky was introing the show that Conor Shanahan wasn't in the pre-grid area. They were still fixing the car. They obviously bolted it together as quick as they could, but with time constraints, obviously with rules and regulations, you've got to have your car ready for the start line. Benediktas Čurba, well, what an awful season he's had. Together so many times this season, and our first two battles don't happen because of mechanical failure. This could be the tail of the tape for the championship and this final round, and it's heartbreaking to see so many amazing competitors fall so soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke about this just yesterday on a video, saying these cars have been put through the paces. We always talk about the drivers, we talk about the pressure that the drivers face going into these battles, because these are the best of the best. They are national champions in their own right, and they all collect together here at Drift Masters European Championship to put on that fight to see who is the best of those national champions. But the cars, we always forget about the cars, the engines, the gearboxes, the suspension, all the components inside those cars. They are under immense pressure every weekend.
Absolutely, it takes a horse and a jockey to win a race. You know what I mean? You can't run down on your own down the track. And to be honest, you know, Conor Shanahan, he had that hit. I'm wondering, that surely is the reasoning behind this failure, and they were panicking. We heard word just as Becky was introing the show that Conor Shanahan wasn't in the pre-grid area. They were still fixing the car. They obviously bolted it together as quick as they could, but with time constraints, obviously with rules and regulations, you've got to have your car ready for the start line. Benediktas Čurba, well, what an awful season he's had. Big crash in Austria, broke the whole front of the car off, and then had to come back, rebuild it, and now, as he's looking back on form, loses out. But Felix Lindvall, you know what, he would have gone in here equally, I would say, in good shape to be in that battle anyway. So Karkoshik and Lindvall will go through to the top 16, and I think on paper, statistically, you'd be looking at Čurba and Shanahan as being the favourites. So if that doesn't tell you that this is not going to be a straightforward night of drifting, I don't know what will.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about what this evening has entailed. I walked around the paddock earlier. I walked around the whole of this venue. I met a lot of people. There is an immense crowd here. There is 10,000 people. You can see it on the drone right now, sitting in them seats. And I don't think any one of those guys here, not us, not anybody, knows what is going to happen tonight.
And the thing about this championship is, I'm just going to put it out there, history, 10, 15, 20 years of European competition. You could probably tune in around the top 8, top 4, and it would be quite formulaic. Same guys there, you know, way above the rest. With Drift Masters, we've proved it round and round again. We talk about the failure in Weinzek's car in Germany, Dean going in the wall. We've seen Jack Shanahan go off track at round 1 into the gravel. All of the top drivers have had errors, had mistakes and mechanical failures throughout the year, mean that you can't take your eyes off this from top 32 right to the final, and boy can you not predict it. We now move on to our first head-to-head battle, even though it's battle 3 of the top 32, and again evenly stacked between Laurie Heinahan and Max Heidrich. Two of the wildest drivers on the grid go head-to-head to kick off our twin battle action.
Well, they certainly do, David. As we can see now, Max Heidrich warming up the tyres on the back of that
Traveller S15, and he will not have an opponent as Benediktas Čerba has an engine failure coming out of the paddock area. No compression in the engine. The first 2 battles are a non-starter, with the cars letting the drivers down. Long season, 6 rounds, they've done hundreds of laps, and now can these cars hold on? Look at the damage on every single car that's going to roll into this arena. Look at the stress levels of those pit crews behind the scenes. They're out of spare parts at this point. They've put these cars back together so many times this season, and our first 2 battles don't happen because of mechanical failure. This could be the tail of the tape for the championship and this final round, and it's heartbreaking to see so many amazing competitors fall so soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke about this just yesterday on a video, saying these cars have been put through the paces. We always talk about the drivers, we talk about the pressure that the drivers face going into these battles, because these are the best of the best. They are national champions in their own right, and they all collect together here at Drift Masters European Championship to put on that fight to see who is the best of those national champions. But the cars, we always forget about the cars, the engines, the gearboxes, the suspension, all the components inside those cars. They are under immense pressure every weekend.
Absolutely, it takes a horse and a jockey to win a race. You know what I mean? You can't run down on your own down the track. And to be honest, you know, Conor Shanahan, he had that hit. I'm wondering, that surely is the reasoning behind this failure, and they were panicking. We heard word just as Becky was introing the show that Conor Shanahan wasn't in the pre-grid area. They were still fixing the car. They obviously bolted it together as quick as they could, but with time constraints, obviously with rules and regulations, you've got to have your car ready to the start line. Benediktas Čerba, well, what an awful season he's had. Big crash in Austria, broke the whole front of the car off, and then had to come back, rebuild it, and now, as he's looking back on form, loses out. But Felix Lindvall, you know what, he would have gone in here equally, I would say, in good shape to be in that battle anyway. So Karkoshik and Lindvall will go through to the top 16, and I think on paper, statistically, you'd be looking at Čerba and Shanahan as being the favourites. So if that doesn't tell you that this is not going to be a straightforward night of drifting, I don't know what will.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think about what this evening has entailed. I walked around the paddock earlier. I walked around the whole of this venue. I met a lot of people. There is an immense crowd here. There is 10,000 people. You can see it on the drone right now, sitting in them seats. And I don't think any one of those guys here, not us, not anybody, knows what is going to happen tonight.
And the thing about this championship is, I'm just going to put it out there, history, 10, 15, 20 years of European competition. You could probably tune in around the top 8, top 4, and it would be quite formulaic. Same guys there, you know, way above the rest. With Drift Masters, we've proved it round and round again. We talk about the failure in Weinzek's car in Germany, Dean going in the wall. We've seen Jack Shanahan go off track at round 1 into the gravel. All of the top drivers have had errors, had mistakes and mechanical failures throughout the year, mean that you can't take your eyes off this from top 32 right to the final, and boy can you not predict it. We now move on to our first head-to-head battle, even though it's battle 3 of the top 32, and again evenly stacked between Laurie Heinahan and Max Heidrich. Two of the wildest drivers on the grid go head-to-head to kick off our twin battle action.
Well, they certainly do, David. As we can see now, Max Heidrich warming up the tyres on the back of that S14.3 as he moves his way around. Laurie Heinahan in that Dodge, a NASCAR V8 powered 180SX. Well, he pulls to the line ready to rock and roll, and the Finnish flags have made an appearance. They're starting to fly. Here we go. Let's look at the heat indicator. Well, it's equal either side. These guys never met in competition before. Qualifying points for Laurie Heinahan way up there, Dave. He looks strong. He looks like he likes this track.
But never count out Max Heidrich and the wildness that man possesses within his being, because on any day he is not going to back down. He's in the chase position. He can go for it here. He knows Heinahan's got a great lead line. He knows he's been on form all weekend. He can push here.
He certainly can. And you know what Max Heidrich said to me? I've had a rough year. It's not been a good year for me at the Drift Masters European Championship. He's had a lot of problems with the cars. He's been through a lot of woes. And he said, this is the round. I think this is the round where a lot of these guys say, you know what, I've got a long time to fix the car. Let's go for it and try and see what we can do. do.
And you know it's a nervous event when the start line marshal even looks nervous sending cars in. Very dangerous track, concrete walls everywhere, no room for error. And almost 1,600 horsepower is about to leave the line now and go around this stadium. Heineken with that incredible NASCAR V8 under the bonnet leaves off, and he gets a bit of a gap here as they come into that first corner. Oh, and Heidrich makes a late dive in the middle of the track. Heineken goes out to those walls. Heidrich now starting to tuck in. This is the tricky part for the chase car. Two inside zones, can't get caught on the walls. Both drivers do an excellent job now. Heidrich has to start making the move, and he does. Up onto the door goes Heidrich, almost making contact, having to back off. He's on the inside of the track a little bit, as Heineken on a great lead run here as they transition through. This is the dangerous part. Smoke starting to cloud out the chase cars. Oh, Heidrich,
Wow.
big mistake. He's in the wall.
How did that even come about? I want to see at what point on the circuit did he have a mechanical failure, because the car looked like it just either understeered.
I'm thinking it's a mechanical failure. I don't think he had any power there.
No. You know what, though? We spoke to Jack Shanahan last night after the event, and we said, you know, what was up with the straighten? Where was the understeer? Where did it come from? He said, certain parts of the circuit, for some reason, when you get there, the track just goes super loose. Just for a second. I want to know what happened here. Max Heidrich was on an absolute fly. Laurie Heinen doing a good job in that lead position. Max Heidrich did well to recover on that initiation. Look at this from Heidrich as he tucks right up on the door, exactly where the judges wanted to see him. Wheel onto the door, gives him the room to manoeuvre, and Heinen gives him the opportunity. They transition back, fire through, and then now watch Max Heidrich's car. He's on throttle, he's on throttle, he's on throttle.
That looks a shutdown to me.
I think it looks like it. I think you're right, Dave. I think
it looks like a shutdown to me. Watch the transition. He comes through with power, rear wheel smoke. And then all of a sudden, absolutely nothing. That's an unusual part to straighten up at. He's on throttle there. All of a sudden, something failed. Something went in that car. You can watch it. He's got smoke coming from the tires. All of a sudden, that smoke screen stops. The car straightens up, and he's a passenger. And luckily, doesn't take out Heineken in the lead position and goes into the wall. But that's a big hit with the wall for Max Heidrich. And I'm not too sure. In my opinion right now, can he continue in this battle? To me, it looks like the front wheel is back into the arch, which means that he's broken the suspension arms, which means he will not fix that in 2 minutes, which means the win would go to Heineken. And in 3 battles in the top 32, we will only see 2 cars on track at the moment before it's decided, but we should have seen 6.
Think about it.
What about that? Would you build another car?
Yeah, I would like to. We will see how the off-season goes with the support and everything. But much appreciation to the Wool Stadium and the Wool Drift Masters crowd. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. Delighted that you're okay. Well, guys, that's the story there.
Well, even the interview is an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, just
congratulations to Max Heidrich having a baby in November, but his car is destroyed in the wall. And
I've been keeping that one a secret for a long time.
do you know what the funny thing is? Well, what a stage to announce it. But I'll tell you one thing. He was given the perfect excuse to say it was the car, and so honest that he said it was actually his problem. So you're not going to see that in too many motorsports where they don't blame the car. They blame, I think you can see, dropped out of the RPM, he said, didn't let the car spool up on boost and just caught understeer. And, you know, always an honest guy, Max Heidrich, and he drives with his heart. So
he does.
when he's out there on track, you know, you're getting everything. There's no tactical play with Max Heidrich, and that can work both ways. And unfortunately, his season ends with, and when we said there, the cage pushed in, we can honestly tell you that's a big hit. That's chassis damage on that car, and Laurie Heinen's going to get a free run of the circuit at this point to just nail in that position. He's in the top 16. The Finnish fans are going to be pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, they certainly are, and Laurie Heinen, look at him waving. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted this to end that way. Heinen's a fair man. He would have wanted to battle his way all the way through tonight. Unfortunately, you've got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, Dave, and you've got to take those gifts when they come to you, because they don't come very often at Drift Masters. And Laurie Heinen will be sitting on the line saying, well, that's a step into the top 16. We're going to see how tonight plays out, because if luck is on Laurie Heinen's side, things could get interesting. And there we go. He's going to put a nice pass on the circuit in his Laurie Heinen. And this man looking confident, looking strong, and then shuts the car down. But he don't. The rules are he only has to initiate and drift the first corner. So
I was just about to say,
do you know what? Heinen's clever.
He didn't want to risk too
do you know
much.
what? Why do I want to risk it? What do I want to risk it for? I'll show to everyone and the judges, which are the deciding factor. I can initiate. I can drift the first corner. There isn't anything wrong with my car. And then I'll go back to the paddock and I'll say, well, lads, what are we going to do here now?
You know what? If you're just joining us,
welcome to unpredictability.
Welcome to, we have no idea what's about to happen at driftmasters.com, because I'll tell you what, in the first 3 battles, we've had Conor Shanahan, unfortunately, bow out of the championship race with power steering failure before he even got into the arena. We've had Benedikt Szczerba lose engine compression on his way to the arena. and give the win to Felix Lindvall. And we've also had Max Heidrich crash into the wall. But I'll tell you one thing, he was given the perfect excuse to say it was the car, and so honest that he said it was actually his problem. So you're not going to see that in too many motorsports where they don't blame the car, they blame, I think you can see, dropped out of the RPM, he said, didn't let the car spool up on boost and just caught understeer. And, you know, always an honest guy, Max Heidrich, and he drives with his heart. So when he's out there on track, you know, you're getting everything. There's no tactical play with Max Heidrich, and that can work both ways. And unfortunately, his season ends with, and when we said there, the cage pushed in, we can honestly tell you that's a big hit. That's chassis damage on that car, and Laurie Heinen's going to get a free run of the circuit at this point to just nail in that position. He's in the top 16. The Finnish fans are going to be pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Laurie Heinen, look at him waving. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted this to end that way. Heinen's a fair man. He would have wanted to battle his way all the way through tonight. Unfortunately, you've got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, Dave, and you've got to take those gifts when they come to you, because they don't come very often at Drift Masters. And Laurie Heinen will be sitting on the line saying, well, that's a step into the top 16. We're going to see how tonight plays out, because if luck is on Laurie Heinen's side, things could get interesting. And there we go, he's going to put a nice pass of the circuit in his Laurie Heinen. And this man looking confident, looking strong, and then shuts the car down. But he did. The rules are he only has to initiate and drift the first corner. So
I was just about to say,
do you know what? Heinen's clever.
He didn't want to risk too
do you know
much.
what? Why do I want to risk it? What do I want to risk it for? I'll show to everyone and the judges, which are the deciding factor. I can initiate. I can drift the first corner. There isn't anything wrong with my car. And then I'll go back to the paddock and I'll say, well, lads, what are we going to do here now?
You know what? If you're just joining us,
welcome to unpredictability.
Welcome to, we have no idea what's about to happen at driftmasters.com, because I'll tell you what, in the first three battles, we've had Conor Shanahan, unfortunately, bow out of the championship race with power steering failure before he even got into the arena. We've had Benedikt Čurba lose engine compression on his way to the arena and give the win to Felix Lindvall. And we've also had Max Heidrich crash into the wall. We're 3 battles into the top 32, and it's really one of those days where anything can, and as I've said all year, often does happen. And we sit here, like you guys do at home, big Drift fans, trying to work out what's going to happen. I have given up, I've torn away all my notes, I'm throwing them out the window. I'm sitting back like everyone else and watching what could be the most dramatic conclusion to any season of European drifting we've seen so far.
Yeah, certainly so, Dave. And as you can see, down on track, 2 new contenders enter the arena, and it will be Jakob Kroll to take on Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann looking strong, but Jakob Kroll out of nowhere yesterday, firing that car in, making some adjustments to the car with advice from the Shanahans, and puts in an absolute blinder of a qualifying run, gets himself into 9th place, looking the stronger contender in this battle, sits in that lead position now. And Pontus Hartmann, well, he said he likes these walled stadiums, said he's a big fan of Ferropolis. It didn't play out for him, he crashed the car. Came back this weekend though, Dave, looking strong, looking like he had that confidence in the car.
Absolutely. Both of these guys knowing this is the last event, you want to put on a show, you want to be remembered for having a good season. Sometimes those lasting memories are only one event long, and a lot of fans will go, you know what, those guys got to the top 32, top 16, they're on it, and it gives you a little bit of hope for next year. It gives you a little bit of a showcase of potential of what you're capable of. And Jakob Kroll now and Pontus Hartmann both want to take their first top 16, but Kroll has left Hartmann on the start line here as Kroll enters. Hartmann's got to cut the course here to say, look at Kroll, he's in the wall, had to break it, let's give it a chance to Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann also goes in the wall on the inside zone. Now Hartmann playing catch up here as Kroll fires the flames on the other side of that E46. Look at this, Pontus Hartmann right on the inside of the track trying to catch up. He's done it now at the halfway point. Got to start getting the job done. Lead run so far very solid from Jakob Kroll as they transition across the centre of the track. Look how much the smoke plays an issue here as Pontus Hartmann negotiates that smoke screen and gets back up onto the door. Does a good job of recovering, but losing some points on the first half of the course, but not enough proximity. Looks to me like he went too heavy on the throttle off the start line, lost a bit of traction. Jakob Kroll having no such issues.
No, certainly not. So we look back at the replay. Let's look at this initiation line that you can see denoted on the track, and I think Pontus Hartmann did a very good job there of catching up, gets that car into the outside zone. Nice lead line from Jakob Kroll, but Pontus Hartmann, look at this point, really started to rein in Jakob Kroll. I wonder if that was a tactic from Hartmann. He is down on the inside of the circuit, but he does wash up into the outside zone. You can see where he positions that car, gives Jakob Kroll all the room to manoeuvre through that transition. Jakob Kroll goes to the outside zone, not deep though, not on the outside line like we wanted to see him. And Pontus Hartmann's right with him. He is down on the circuit, he's wandering and wavering, but Jakob Kroll not as deep into that final outside zone as what the judges wanted to see him. And I think Pontus Hartmann played a very clever game there, not getting too close, not causing any danger. He's seen what's happened in previous battles.
You look safe, is one way of doing it, and also you can bleed some points with it. I think Pontus Hartmann, if I was listening to the judges correctly, he wasn't matching the lead run in terms of angle and position. He was basically shortcutting the track with a lot less angle to catch up. So the judges will be watching that.
We will see if he can fix the car, maybe not. Yeah, I try to enjoy the process of everything. Maybe it's my last Drift Masters event because I become a daddy in the end of November, so we will see how it goes next year.
Congratulations, that is a special job to be a dad and also a Drift Masters driver. I mean, I'm sure we'll see you again. I have to say, you've always been one that has been exciting to watch. Maybe you come back with a different chassis. Have you thought about that? Would you build another car?
Yeah, I would like to. We will see how the off-season goes with the support and everything. But much appreciation to the Wool Stadium and the Wool Drift Masters crowd. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Delighted that you're okay. Well, guys, that's the story there.
Well, even the interview is an emotional roller coaster. Congratulations to Max Heidrich having a baby in November, but his car is destroyed in the wall. And
I've been keeping that one a secret for a long time.
do you know what the funny thing is? Well, what a stage to announce it. But I'll tell you one thing. He was given the perfect excuse to say it was the car, and so honest that he said it was actually his problem.
I mean,
so you're not going to see that in too many motorsports where they don't blame the car. They blame, I think you can see, dropped out of the RPM, he said, didn't let the car spool up on boost and just caught understeer. And, you know, always an honest guy, Max Heidrich, and he drives with his heart. So
he does.
when he's out there on track, you know, you're getting everything. There's no tactical play with Max Heidrich, and that can work both ways. And unfortunately, his season ends with, and when we said there, the cage pushed in, we can honestly tell you that's a big hit. That's chassis damage on that car, and Laurie Heinen's going to get a free run of the circuit at this point to just nail in that position. He's in the top 16. The Finnish fans are going to be pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, they certainly are, and Laurie Heinen, look at him waving. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted this to end that way. Heinen's a fair man. He would have wanted to battle his way all the way through tonight. Unfortunately, you've got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, Dave, and you've got to take those gifts when they come to you because they don't come very often at Drift Masters. And Laurie Heinen will be sitting on the line saying, well, that's a step into the top 16. We're going to see how tonight plays out because if luck is on Laurie Heinen's side, things could get interesting. And there we go, he's going to put a nice pass on the circuit in his Laurie Heinen. And this man looking confident, looking strong, and then shuts the car down. But he did. The rules are he only has to initiate and drift the first corner. So
I was just about to say,
do you know what? Heinen's clever.
He didn't want to risk too much.
Do you know what? Why do I want to risk it? What do I want to risk it for? I'll show to everyone and the judges, which are the deciding factor. I can initiate. I can drift the first corner. There isn't anything wrong with my car. And then I'll go back to the paddock and I'll say, well, lads, what are we going to do here now?
You know what? If you're just joining us...
welcome to unpredictability.
Welcome to we have no idea what's about to happen at driftmasters.com. Because I'll tell you what, in the first three battles, we've had Conor Shanahan, unfortunately, bow out of the championship race with power steering failure before he even got into the arena. We've had Benediktas Čurba lose engine compression on his way to the arena and give the win to Felix Lindvall. And we've also had Max Heidrich crash into the wall. We're three battles into the top 32, and it's really one of those days where anything can, and as I've said all year, often does happen. And we sit here, like you guys do at home, big Drift fans, trying to work out what's going to happen. I have given up, I've torn away all my notes, I'm throwing them out the window. I'm sitting back like everyone else and watching what could be the most dramatic conclusion to any season of European drifting we've seen so far.
Yeah, certainly so, Dave. And as you can see, down on track, two new contenders enter the arena, and it will be Jakob Kroll to take on Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann looking strong, but Jakob Kroll out of nowhere yesterday, firing that car in, making some adjustments to the car with advice from the Shanahans, and puts in an absolute blinder of a qualifying run, gets himself into 9th place, looking the stronger contender in this battle, sits in that lead position now. And Pontus Hartmann, well, he said he likes these walled stadiums, said he's a big fan of Ferropolis. It didn't play out for him, he crashed the car. Came back this weekend, though, Dave, looking strong, looking like he had that confidence in the car.
Absolutely. Both of these guys knowing this is the last event, you want to put on a show, you want to be remembered for having a good season. Sometimes those lasting memories are only one event long, and a lot of fans will go, you know what, those guys got to the top 32, top 16, they're on it, and it gives you a little bit of hope for next year. It gives you a little bit of a showcase of potential of what you're capable of. And Jakob Kroll now and Pontus Hartmann both want to take their first top 16, but Kroll has left Hartmann on the start line here as Kroll enters. Hartmann's got to cut the course here to say, look at Kroll, though. He's in the wall, had to break it. That's given a chance to Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann also goes in the wall on the inside zone. Now Hartmann playing catch up here as Krull fires the flames, runs on the side of that E46. Look at this, Pontus Hartmann right on the inside of the track, trying to catch up. He's done it now at the halfway point. Got to start getting the job done. Lead run so far, very solid from Jakob Krull as they transition across the centre of the track. Look how much the smoke plays an issue here as Pontus Hartmann negotiates that smoke screen and gets back up onto the door. Does a good job of recovering, but losing some points on the first half of the course, but not enough proximity. Looks to me like he went too heavy on the throttle off the start line, lost a bit of traction. Jakob Krull having no such issues.
No, certainly not. So we look back at the replay. Let's look at this initiation line that you can see denoted on the track. And I think Pontus Hartmann did a very good job there of catching up, gets that car into the outside zone. Nice lead line from Jakob Krull. But Pontus Hartmann, look at this point, really started to rein in Jakob Krull. I wonder if that was a tactic from Hartmann. He is down on the inside of the circuit, but he does wash up into the outside zone. You can see where he positions that car, gives Jakob Krull all the room to manoeuvre through that transition. Jakob Krull goes to the outside zone, not deep though, not on the outside line like we wanted to see him. And Pontus Hartmann's right with him. He is down on the circuit, he's wandering and wavering, but Jakob Krull not as deep into that final outside zone as what the judges wanted to see him. And I think Pontus Hartmann played a very clever game there, not getting too close, not causing any danger. He's seen what's happened in previous battles.
Yeah, look, safe is one way of doing it, and also you can bleed some points with it. I think Pontus Hartmann, if I was listening to the judges correctly, he wasn't matching the lead run in terms of angle and position. He was basically shortcutting the track with a lot less angle to catch up. So the judges will be watching that, and we'll be watching it throughout the competition. So Jakob Krull doing a pretty okay job in the lead run. Not perfect, but solid. I think Pontus Hartmann had moments of brilliance, but he did counteract that with a lot of cutting of the track, a lot of low angle, and he left a lot to be desired on the initiation and the commitment. So let's see what happens when we switch them around. I think Jakob Krull is going to have to go for it here to force the issue from the first corner.
I think he is, David. Look at this, Pontus Hartmann off and out of the gate, and Jakob Krull initiates very, very early. Now he's down the track, and you can see Pontus Hartmann start to put in an absolute flyer of a lead line. Oh, Jakob Krull goes close to the back bumper of the E92 BMW. As they both wander and waver, but you can see Jakob Krull way down, way out of the outside zone, not where the judges wanted to see him in the chase position. Pontus Hartmann goes wide on, Jakob Krull makes a hash of the transition, puts himself out of position now as Pontus Hartmann gets himself out of the outside zone. A little dab of the handbrake there to slow the car down across the line. This one going to be a tough one for the judges.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to give my honest opinion, and you always do as well, Ian. And again, we look at it from sometimes more of an entertainment point of view than a technical point of view, but from where I'm at, you know, Krull doesn't make the move on the first corner, and then the big mistake comes through the center section. You can see Krull kind of, the transition wasn't perfect. He's outside the zones, he's cutting the track, very similar to what Hartmann did, maybe even worse through that first section. And as you can see here, as they transition through, Krull not really forcing the issue at any point. This is a great camera angle. I love this one on the wall, it's amazing. But as they transition back, I think Krull's in a worse position here than Hartmann. He's right down off the bank, he's catching up, and then I think, to me, the nail in the coffin might be this transition. He leaves it very, very late. Hartmann goes wide, Krull ends up, uh-oh, I'm in the wrong place on the track, drops a wheel on the inside, and this, for me, while Hartmann's not right out here where we want him to be, Krull's in an even worse position. I don't know if that's affected by Hartmann there. I think that's more affected by being in the wrong place. Hartmann, absolutely no respect for the rear end of that car, smashing it off absolutely anything. So, you know what, it's a tale of errors from both sides. I don't think we got a perfect lead or chase in either run, but I'm interested to see which way the judges go on this one, because, you know, there was some moments there where I thought the mistakes might have been bigger from one driver to the other. But again, we're going to let the judges decide it today, and of course we can go to them whenever we need that clarification of an explanation. And Pontus Hartmann and Jakob Krull, all smiles, cameras out.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
away.
Pontus Hartmann vlogging away there, thinking this could be the first top 16 of the year. What a way to do it.
He might be excited about this one. Let's see which way it goes. We'll think back to that big mistake on the inside of the transition for Jakob Krull, and I wonder, will that be the deciding factor? The judges will weigh in very shortly with their decision, and which way is it going to go? Going to this top 16 is Jakob Krull. Jakob Krull gets the win and goes through to the next round. I'm going to throw this quickly back to you, Kevin O'Connell. We were looking at a couple of areas where we might have thought Jakob Krull made some errors, but I'm thinking now that you guys might have watched some lead mistakes too.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Dave, and realistically that battle was decided by comparing lead to lead. Jakob Krull had a very, very good lead line the whole way throughout, really nailing those qualifying zones like we were asking to, and running very close to a 100-point qualifying run. Nice, consistent, very easy for Hartmann to chase. Unfortunately, it was not the same when the tables were turned. Pontus just did not give Krull a good lead line to chase at all. He over-rotated in the first zone, was way off off a lot of clips and made it very difficult to chase. I heard you guys reference an issue and the middle transition here in front of us where Kroll kind of got caught in the smoke, but in our opinion Hartmann was way too wide on his transition, and we did note that in the briefing that we did not want to see the lead driver going very wide on the transition there, because it makes it extremely difficult for the chase driver to chase, and that's exactly the reason that we said it in the briefing. You saw Kroll get caught out with it. So realistically it all comes down to the lead line there, and you have to give a good lead line so that we can have good chases.
Thanks, Kev. Love it. Absolutely crystal clear what the judges are looking for. It gives us a little bit of information for what's happening now. And there's a man focused on the start line. Biggest battle of the night so far. Peter Wiańczek has to get the job done here against Rarachowski. And I'll tell you what, this is stress and pressure for a man that has had a mechanical failure in qualifying and in Germany. They said they've buttoned that car back up. Wiańczek, defending champion. These are the tough moments to get through the top 32, to not stumble, to not fall. And you know what? Peter Wiańczek, he's strong in this arena. He's got the fans behind him. He's the defending champion, and I think he's laser focused here. He's in the lead position. I think he's going to go fast, he's going to go smooth, and he's going to hope that Rarachowski can't hang with him. But Rarachowski's got all the power and all the grip, 1,000 horsepower on that GT86. So this is going to be interesting.
It certainly is going to be interesting, Dave. And as we mentioned, and we keep mentioning, and we talk about it quite a lot, these underdogs, Dave, they have nothing to lose. Right now for Rarachowski, he's saying, well, this is probably the biggest opportunity I have this year to prove a point. If I can take down Peter Wiańczek, I've just proved something to everybody. They're off the line. Here we go. Peter Wiańczek to lead out. Rostislav Rarachowski. Oh, look at this big separation already opened up as Wiańczek fires that car at big angle. Very nice line from Wiańczek into the outside zone. Rarachowski gets out of position there, and you can see lost in the smoke. He's now way off that qualifying line. Starts to lose even more ground to Wiańczek as Wiańczek sticks it into the outside zone. Glad it's safe, not sticking it too close to the wall. Goes for that perfect transition, as you can see. Nice arc as he fires down to the second to last outer zone as Wiańczek gets it in, up on the wall and gone. And Rostislav Rarachowski not really having anything to say in that battle.
Unbelievable job for Peter Wiańczek, and it goes to show the nerves not affecting him one bit. He came into that first corner so fast, so committed. There was a guy that believed that that run was going to be a 90-plus run in the lead. No one else we've watched go into that first corner believed like he did believe. And tonight is the night he has to believe, because he's got one Shanahan out of the way, but the one that's closer to him, Jack Shanahan, is still in the competition. If he wants to be back-to-back champion, these are the battles he's got to be taking down with ease. And to be honest, from there, it looked like Rarachowski got lost a little bit for the pace, tried to cut the track, and he still couldn't catch Wiańczek. Look at the pace of Wiańczek through the run. Well, what a stage to announce it. But I'll tell you one thing, he was given the perfect excuse to say it was the car, and so honest that he said it was actually his problem. I mean, so you're not going to see that in too many motorsports where they don't blame the car, they blame, I think you can see, dropped out of the RPM, he said, didn't let the car spool up on boost and just caught understeer. And, you know, always an honest guy, Max Heidrich, and he drives with his heart. So when he's out there on track, you know, you're getting everything. There's no tactical play with Max Heidrich, and that can work both ways. And unfortunately, his season ends with, and when we said there, the cage pushed in, we can honestly tell you that's a big hit. That's chassis damage on that car, and Laurie Heinen's going to get a free run of the circuit at this point to just nail in that position. He's in the top 16. The Finnish fans are going to be pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Laurie Heinen, look at him waving. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted this to end that way. Heinen's a fair man. He would have wanted to battle his way all the way through tonight. Unfortunately, you've got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, Dave, and you've got to take those gifts when they come to you, because they don't come very often at Drift Masters. And Laurie Heinen will be sitting on the line saying, well, that's a step into the top 16. We're going to see how tonight plays out, because if luck is on Laurie Heinen's side, things could get interesting. And there we go, he's going to put a nice pass of the circuit in his Laurie Heinen. And this man looking confident, looking strong, and then shuts the car down. But he did. The rules are he only has to initiate and drift the first corner. So
I was just about to say,
do you know what? Heinen's clever.
He didn't want to risk too much.
Do you know what? Why do I want to risk it? What do I want to risk it for? I'll show to everyone and the judges, which are the deciding factor. I can initiate. I can drift the first corner. There isn't anything wrong with my car. And then I'll go back to the paddock and I'll say, well, lads, what are we going to do here now?
You know what? If you're just joining us...
welcome to unpredictability.
Welcome to... We have no idea what's about to happen at driftmasters.com. Because I'll tell you what, in the first three battles, we've had Conor Shanahan, unfortunately, bow out of the championship race with power steering failure before he even got into the arena. We've had Benediktas Čurba lose engine compression on his way to the arena and give the win to Felix Lindvall. And we've also had Max Heidrich crash into the wall. We're three battles into the top 32. And it's really one of those days where anything can, and as I've said all year, often does happen. And we sit here, like you guys do at home, big drift fans, trying to work out what's going to happen. I have given up. I've torn away all my notes. I'm throwing them out the window. I'm sitting back like everyone else and watching what could be the most dramatic conclusion to any season of European drifting we've seen so far.
Yeah, certainly so, Dave. And as you can see, down on track, 2 new contenders enter the arena, and it will be Jakob Kroll to take on Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann looking strong, but Jakob Kroll out of nowhere yesterday, firing that car in, making some adjustments to the car with advice from the Shanahans, and puts in an absolute blinder of a qualifying run, gets himself into 9th place, looking the stronger contender in this battle, sits in that lead position now. And Pontus Hartmann, well, he said he likes these walled stadiums, said he's a big fan of Ferropolis. It didn't play out for him, he crashed the car. Came back this weekend though, Dave, looking strong, looking like he had that confidence in the car.
Absolutely. Both of these guys knowing this is the last event, you want to put on a show, you want to be remembered for having a good season. Sometimes those lasting memories are only one event long, and a lot of fans will go, you know what, those guys got to the top 32, top 16, they're on it, and it gives you a little bit of hope for next year. It gives you a little bit of a showcase of potential of what you're capable of. And Jakob Kroll now and Pontus Hartmann both want to take their first top 16, but Kroll has left Hartmann on the start line here as Kroll enters. Hartmann's got to cut the course here to say, look at Kroll, he's in the wall, had to break it, let's give it a chance to Pontus Hartmann. Pontus Hartmann also goes in the wall on the inside zone. Now Hartmann playing catch up here as Kroll fires the flames from on the side of that E46. Look at this, Pontus Hartmann right on the inside of the track trying to catch up. He's done it now at the halfway point. Got to start getting the job done. Lead run so far very solid from Jakob Kroll as they transition across the centre of the track. Look how much the smoke plays an issue here as Pontus Hartmann negotiates that smoke screen and gets back up onto the door. Does a good job of recovering, but losing some points on the first half of the course, but not enough proximity. Looks to me like he went too heavy on the throttle off the start line, lost a bit of traction. Jakob Kroll having no such issues.
No, certainly not. So we look back at the replay. Let's look at this initiation line that you can see denoted on the track, and I think Pontus Hartmann did a very good job there of catching up, gets that car into the outside zone. Nice lead line from Jakob Kroll, but Pontus Hartmann, look at this point, really started to rein in Jakob Kroll. I wonder if that was a tactic from Hartmann. He is down on the inside of the circuit, but he does wash up into the outside zone. You can see where he positions that car, gives Jakob Kroll all the room to manoeuvre through that transition. Jakob Kroll goes to the outside zone, not deep though, not on the outside line like we wanted to see him. And Pontus Hartmann's right with him. He is down on the circuit, he's wandering and wavering, but Jakob Kroll not as deep into that final outside zone as what the judges wanted to see him. And I think Pontus Hartmann played a very clever game there, not getting too close, not causing any danger. He's seen what's happened in previous battles.
Yeah, look, safe is one way of doing it, and also you can bleed some points with it. I think Pontus Hartmann, if I was listening to the judges correctly, he wasn't matching the lead run in terms of angle and position. He was basically shortcutting the track with a lot less angle to catch up. So the judges will be watching that, and we'll be watching it throughout the competition. So Jakob Kroll doing a pretty okay job in the lead run. Not perfect, but solid. I think Pontus Hartmann had moments of brilliance, but he did counteract that with a lot of cutting of the track, a lot of low angle, and he left a lot to be desired on the initiation and the commitment. So let's see what happens when we switch them around. I think Jakob Kroll's going to have to go for it here to force the issue from the first corner.
I think he is, Dave. Look at this, Pontus Hartmann off and out of the gate, and Jakob Kroll initiates very, very early. Now he's down the track, and you can see Pontus Hartmann starting to put in an absolute flyer of a lead line. Oh, Jakob Kroll goes close to the back bumper of that E92 BMW. As they both wander and waver, but you can see Jakob Kroll way down, way out of the outside zone, not where the judges wanted to see him in the chase position. Pontus Hartmann goes wide, and Jakob Kroll makes a hash of the transition, puts himself out of position now. Pontus Hartmann gets himself out of the outside zone. A little dab of the handbrake there to slow the car down across the line. This one going to be a tough one for the judges.
Yeah, you know what, I'm going to give my honest opinion, and you always do as well, Ian. And again, we look at it from sometimes more of an entertainment point of view than a technical point of view, but from where I'm at, you know, Kroll doesn't make the move on the first corner, and then the big mistake comes through the center section. You can see Kroll kind of, the transition wasn't perfect. He's outside the zones, he's cutting the track, very similar to what Hartmann did, maybe even worse through that first section. And as you can see here, as they transition through, Kroll not really forcing the issue at any point. This is a great camera angle. I love this one on the wall, it's amazing. But as they transition back, I think Kroll's in a worse position here than Hartmann. He's right down off the bank, he's catching up, and then I think, to me, the nail in the coffin might be this transition. He leaves it very, very late. Hartmann goes wide, Kroll ends up, I'm in the wrong place on the track, drops a wheel on the inside, and this, for me, while Hartmann's not right out here where we want him to be, Kroll's in an even worse position. I don't know if that's affected by Hartmann there. I think that's more affected by being in the wrong place. Hartmann, absolutely no respect for the rear end of that car, smashing it off absolutely anything. So, you know what, it's a tale of errors from both sides. I don't think we got a perfect lead or chase in either run, but I'm interested to see which way the judges go on this one, because You know, there was some moments there where I thought the mistakes might have been bigger from one driver to the other. But again, we're going to let the judges decide it today, and of course we can go to them whenever we need that clarification of an explanation. And Paulus Hartmann and Jakob Kroll all smiles, cameras down.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
away.
Paulus Hartmann vlogging away there, thinking this could be the first top 16 of the year.
Yeah,
what a way to do it.
He might be excited about this one. Let's see which way it goes. We'll think back to that big mistake on the inside of the transition for Jakob Kroll, and I wonder, will that be the deciding factor? The judges will weigh in very shortly with their decision, and which way is it going to go? Going to this top 16 is Jakob Kroll. Jakob Kroll gets the win and goes through to the next round. I'm going to throw this quickly back to you, Kevin O'Connell. We were looking at a couple of areas where we might have thought Jakob Kroll made some errors, but I'm thinking now that you guys might have watched some lead mistakes too.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, Dave. And realistically, that battle was decided by comparing lead to lead. Jakob Kroll had a very, very good lead line the whole way throughout, really nailing those qualifying zones like we were asking down, running very close to a 100-point qualifying run. Nice, consistent, very easy for Hartmann to chase. Unfortunately, it was not the same when the tables were turned. Hondas just did not give Kroll a good lead line to chase at all. He over-rotated in the first zone, was way off a lot of clips, and made it very difficult to chase. I heard you guys reference an issue and the middle transition here in front of us where Kroll kind of got caught in the smoke, but in our opinion, Hartmann was way too wide on his transition, and we did note that in the briefing that we did not want to see the lead driver going very wide in the transition there, because it makes it extremely difficult for the chase driver to chase, and that's exactly the reason that we said it in the briefing. You saw Kroll get caught out with it. So realistically, it all comes down to the lead line there, and you have to give a good lead line so that we can have good chases.
Thanks, Kev. Love it. Absolutely crystal clear what the judges are looking for. It gives us a little bit of information for what's happening now. And there's a man focused on the start line. Biggest battle of the night so far. Peter Wiańczek has to get the job done here against Rarachowski. And I'll tell you what, this is stress and pressure for a man that has had a mechanical failure in qualifying and in Germany. They said they've buttoned that car back up. Wiańczek, defending champion. These are the tough moments to get through the top 32, to not stumble, to not fall. And you know what? Peter Wiańczek, he's strong in this arena. He's got the fans behind him. He's the defending champion, and I think he's laser focused here. He's in the lead position. I think he's going to go fast, he's going to go smooth, and he's going to hope that Rarachowski can't hang with him. But Rarachowski's got all the power and all the grip, 1,000 horsepower on that GT86. So this is going to be interesting.
It certainly is going to be interesting, Dave. And as we mentioned, and we keep mentioning, and we talk about it quite a lot, these underdogs, Dave, they have nothing to lose. Right now for Rarachowski, he's saying, well, this is probably the biggest opportunity I have this year to prove a point. If I can take down Peter Wiańczek, I've just proved something to everybody. They're off the line. Here we go. Peter Wiańczek to lead out. Rostislav Rarachowski. Oh, look at this big separation already opened up as Wiańczek fires that car at big angle. Very nice line from Wiańczek into the outside zone. Rarachowski gets out of position there, and you can see lost in the smoke. He's now way off that qualifying line. Starts to lose even more ground to Wiańczek as Wiańczek sticks it into the outside zone. Playing it safe, not sticking it too close to the wall. Goes for that perfect transition, as you can see. Nice arc as he fires down to the second to last outer zone as Wiańczek gets it in, up on the wall and gone. And Rostislav Rarachowski not really having anything to say in that battle.
Unbelievable job for Peter Wiańczek, and it goes to show the nerves not affecting him one bit. He came into that first corner so fast, so committed. There was a guy that believed that that run was going to be a 90-plus run in the lead. No one else we've watched go into that first corner believed like he did believe. And tonight is the night he has to believe, because he's got one Shanahan out of the way, but the one that's closer to him, Jack Shanahan, is still in the competition. If he wants to be back-to-back champion, these are the battles he's got to be taking down with ease. And to be honest, from there, it looked like Rarachowski got lost a little bit for the pace, tried to cut the track, and he still couldn't catch Wiańczek. Look at the pace of Wiańczek through the run. Rarachowski is on the inside of the track trying to catch him, and he's not making much ground. This is going to be a worry for everyone on the grid if Peter Wiańczek's that fast, that accurate, and that good.
Yeah, certainly so, Dave. Look at these shots, though, as we see Peter Wiańczek taking it right to the edge of the wall and across the line. Well, they're back on the line. It will be now Rostislav Rarachowski to lead out Peter Wiańczek.
And this is a tough one for Wiańczek. He's got the advantage here. We know this. I mean, if we're a drift fan, we've watched Rarachowski suffer a little bit in the chase. But now, Wiańczek, how close does he go? How much does he risk? Does he risk a collision? Does he risk a mistake or a spin? Or does he keep it calculated? He's turning on the nitrous oxide in the car. You can see him having a little chat with his spotter, which is the guy outside the car, telling him what's happened in the previous run. And I think the advice we'll hear, don't risk too much.
Yeah,
don't go too close. You've got a big advantage. Don't slip on the banana peel and get yourself knocked knocked out, make sure you get to that top 16.
I think that is exactly what's going to be going through Peter's head. Be calculated, be precise. And he's been precise, he's been calculated all year. And that's why he's sitting in this position, Dave, leading the championship, because he's so calculated on what he does. Everything is thought about to the utmost precise moment. And look at this, he's onto the back bumper, or what was the back end of that GT86 now. As Rossi Rorohovsky fires in, gets into the outside zone. And Vincek's playing a very clever game here. He's keeping within the distance, keeps it clean, doesn't do too much at the moment. Rossi Rorohovsky, nice transition back in to that outside zone. Into the zone he goes, keeps it clean, looks for the transition across the circuit. And Vincek times that transition absolutely perfect as he now finds the side, looks for the door of Rostislav Rorohovsky's GT86, pushing him across the line.
I'll tell you one thing, that last corner told me all the story. He had the pace, he could have had the proximity, but he didn't need it. He did enough to sit back and let Rorohovsky not put in the perfect lead line. He knew halfway through the run, I think, Vincek saying, I think I've got this in the bag, don't make a silly decision at this point. And then on that last corner, he knows this is the least likelihood of having an incident, and then putting a little exclamation point on it for the fans, for the judges to say, at any point I could have done more. And I think that shows a guy that's, you know what, I think you look at Rorohovsky, it's his first time making it to the top 32. It's a tough draw against Peter Vincek, the man on form, on fire this year. But I love how Peter Vincek can just play cat and mouse with that lead car and say, at any point I don't need to overcommit. He won't have it like that for the rest of the competition, but with the championship in the balance, with Jack Shanahan now, his move so important, all the ball goes back into the Shanahan court, and Jack has to get the job done in the top 32. It looks to me like this will be a formality, and Vincek will get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Dave, there. And you know what? Yeah, like you say, that final outside zone was the exclamation mark to the judges. It was just a little, there we go. There we go. This is what I have. This is what I can do. I'm not going to do too much.
Yes. Just yet. Let's see which way the judges go. It's an obvious one. It's Peter Vincek going through to the top 16. He gets the win and goes through, and you can see the relief. That's a lot of pressure. That first battle of the night is the big one. A lot of these pro drivers say that's the toughest part. It's like the first 5 minutes of a football match. You're just feeling it out. You need a couple of touches of the ball. You need to kind of get into your rhythm, and then you start to show what you can do, and that's what Peter Vincek has done there. He's, you know, I think he's taken a few touches, but he hasn't gone for the goal just yet, and we'll see that later on. We move back to the start line. Two very interesting drivers who I think could do a lot of damage this weekend. It is going to be Mika Keski-Korpi against Alex Halovnia, two guys who looked on fire in qualifying.
Yeah, they certainly did, and Mika Keski-Korpi looking strong. He did take that car off the circuit in practice. Car not looking like it was 100%, looked like it had a little bit of a shutdown, so hopefully it is back up and running. But Alex Halovnia is one of those guys that we speak about that you don't know what he's going to do.
Also, I was about to say, you know, if you want a BMW for drifting, two very different ways about going about it. You can have a BMW Touring, or you can have a full carbon Kevlar.
You've got the family option, and you've got the two-door coupe for when you're young.
You got your day-to-day, and you got your weekend car, and here they are going to throw them in some walls. Here we go. It is going to be Keski-Korpi to lead. It is going to be Alex. Oh, he goes in way too hard. He's in trouble here. Didn't time the transition.
Look at the rear wheel on
Halovnia's car. It's broken. He's not going to be able to complete
the tyres coming off
the wheel. He's on the rim now, trying to stay in this battle. He's got a broken rear arm, and he's on the tire, on the rim, not the tire. He is going to be in danger zone here. This is a tough finish. He's not going to be able to finish the second half of this run if he's not got a tire, and he's got a broken suspension arm, meaning I think across the line here you're going to see a win for Mika Keski-Korpi, and he's not going to know anything about it. He's going to be coming, he's going to felt a little bit on the initiation, but that looks to me like that car of Alex Halovnia, well, not beautiful car, by the way, will not be able to continue in this battle.
Oh, and he's drove straight off circuit, Dave. He knows himself. Yeah, he knows.
Once you DB'd, once the car is unsafe to continue, you cannot start the next run. And to me, it looks like Mika Keski-Korpi is going to be the man to take it through to the top 16. What happened here? It looked to me...
I think the impact...
Oh, watch Keski-Korpi's initiation. It wasn't quite wide.
Yeah, Keski-Korpi was going for a safe one. That's what I was going to just jump in and say. Keski-Korpi, look.
He's in the middle of the track. Does he give enough room for Halovnia to actually initiate there? I mean, it's
you're playing a dangerous game there with the
judge. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, and I'm not a judge, but I'll be honest when I say that it looked a little bit more straightforward from the other side.
I think that Halovnia assumed Keski-Korpi was going to go in way hotter than he did, and he didn't. He played it safe, played a tactical, you know, first battle of the night, nerves, first touch of the ball.
Let's not go crazy.
Let's not go mad.
And again, you've got to adapt to that lead car.
Of course you have, 100%.
You can't just go the way you want to go in the chase. And I mean, we talk about this effort of mirroring. You've got to mirror to make sure that you have an ability to to get out. I mean, from my perspective right now, I don't know what way the judges will call it, but the judges will come in pretty close. We have another wall moved here, as you guys can see, and I'm just going to, you know, while I have the opportunity, I'm going to kind of jump across to Kevin O'Connell. Kevin, not specifically there, but just talk about this initiation. What are you looking for from the drivers? What happened there? Is that plain sailing for you, or is it a tough one to decide?
Just having a discussion about it here at the moment, Dave. A little bit of a tricky one. What we're looking for and what we specified in the briefing is for the initiation is open, but we're preferably looking for a clutch kick or a feint entry. A handbrake initiation by the lead driver will lose a little bit of a couple of points here and there. But what Mika did there seemed to be okay. A little bit of excessive handbrake, but in our opinion, he didn't decelerate excessively, and I think it was a relatively clean initiation. To us, it looks like Alex just got caught out a little bit and tried to jump the gun and tried to get onto the door a little bit too early, and we're probably going to deem Alex at fault here for this one.
Well, thanks, Kevin. We just wanted to clear that up. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll see it tonight, where that initiation plays into, you know, a tough spot. I mean, I initially looked at it and said, you know, but then I'm thinking you're allowed to initiate, you know, the way you want, and the chase car, yes, you want to get on the door as quick as possible, but if you take too much of a risk, then you can knock yourself out of competition. And I think this comes back to that risk-reward throughout the whole run. We are going to have that a lot tonight. We're going to have guys taking big notions to go in very close, and the lead driver might not be perfect, but he's not deemed at fault.
I think as well, I think Holovnia was misplaced after the contact. I think what happened was Holovnia went for a big jump, like you say, to get on the door, but I think what happened was he didn't anticipate how fast Mika Keskikorpi was going, so he made the contact with the back bumper, then realised he had to initiate. He was misplaced on the edge of the circuit. He was way too far over, because where he took down the wall, it was right where the barriers are. It wasn't really at that outside zone.
It's not in outer zone one.
Exactly.
Love that, Ian. That clarifies it quite. You know, you're starting that scoring zone from the yellow wall or the first outer zone. He's hit him long before that.
Yeah.
And you know, he's kind of, as I said, he's been looking really strong in practice. If you watched his chasing in practice, he's been going in very aggressive in the chase position. Didn't work out for him this time.
No. And I think, look, you could try that trick, and we've seen that trick, and we've seen a lot of guys do a lot of things. 9 times out of 10 it works. It's that one time that you get it ever so slightly wrong, a few milliseconds, the wrong place on the circuit, and it can all go wrong real badly, and it did.
And again, these drivers are explained from the judges, you know, weight transfer, clutch kick, and, you know, obviously a little bit of handbrake to slow the car. You're going to have to. It's coming in hot. Those are variables, and you've got to adapt that variable. And if you look at Peter Wiańczek in his battle, you can see that he didn't jump in at the start. He waited for the lead driver to make the move, and then he made the move. It looked to me like Holovnia was trying to make the move early. Now, I'll tell you what, why he's done that is because he's got a huge amount of respect for Mika Keskikorpi. He knows he's good, he knows he's fast, and he knows that he needs to be aggressive. We're going to see that first corner decide a lot of battles tonight, and it is knife edge.
It certainly is knife edge, and you know what, you risk everything. And look at this, I want to see where the positioning is. Yeah, look at the front of Holovnia's car, look. He actually understeered for a second there as well. You watch the front wheels, they turned the wrong direction there, Dave.
On the slow-mo, you can see it. Watch, he goes to kind of go with Keskikorpi.
Look where the car's aiming, look where the car's aiming. Watch the front wheels, Dave. Ready? Understeer.
Yes, that is it. Ian, you know what? It's taken
Am I right all year?
It's taken you 6 rounds. But I'll believe there that you actually are right. That understeer, to me, that is an unnatural movement for the car.
It is. And it was the positioning, like I explained, you know, and sometimes I can go down a rabbit hole, Dave, of where things are going. That can be way wrong. But I think on that, I think that was exactly what happened there.
He got a little understeer, and I think what happened, as you correctly pointed out, is that he actually shot forward with the understeer because he's not on angle. He's not scrubbing the speed. He's not on angle to slow down.
Nope.
I think he's going to hit Keskikorpi irregardless of what's happening there. And you know what? It's amazing how the judges have to watch that. I watched it first time.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm making decisions here on the fly. I'm not really analysing.
That's what we do.
It's what we have to do.
That's what we have to do.
But when you see the way they have broken it down technically, and you go back and watch it, it makes so much sense. And to me, that's the confidence that you've got to have in your ability as a judge. It's the confidence you've got to have in your ability in your rules and regulations and technical side. We look at it very much like you guys at home from an entertainment point of view, which it is highly entertaining. And we try to make it a little bit more sometimes. But when it comes down to winning and losing, that's the sport, that's the competition, and those guys have laid that out in hour-long briefings. So when it happens out there, they've covered it, and we now can hear directly from Kevin why that decision was made.
Exactly that. And you know what, I looked over after that, I see that slow-mo and we see that alternative angle. I looked over and the judges were looking at that, slowing it right down, because they have another monitor and it's got 8 camera.
Yeah, 8 camera positions.
8 camera positions they can see, and they can slow it down and rewind it to, like, I mean, way beyond our knowledge, Dave.
To go back in time.
But they'd already seen it, and that's why they come to that decision saying we're going to kind of put this down at fault for Alex Solovniuk.
And I love that, you know, we give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes here at Driftmasters. There's 3 judges, I mean, we'll call it a 4th judge.
Yeah.
A 4th judge is on replays, changing the angle. So if something happens, the judges say, look, first corner, there was an incident. They see it from 4 different angles, full speed, half speed, slow-mo, drone, you name it. And that 4th judge is rewinding it, showing it, and making sure that they see exactly what they want to see. They see more than we do on general broadcast because they've got to make the tough decisions.
Of course, yeah. And they want to see all those angles.
As far as I can tell right now, he's going to get a second run of the track. He's actually had no idea what's happened behind him with Solovniuk, but he's going to know that he's not there. So that's a good sign for his chances. And he's going to get another pass of the circuit here, and if he initiates into that, which I'm sure he will, and he does,
there we go, yeah,
then he will get the win and go through to the top 16. And I mean, we talk about unpredictability here.
I mean, Keski-Korpi's going to try and do a run. Oh yeah. I mean, he did exactly what Laurie Heinen did. He played it safe, drifted the first corner, proved to judges. He did the whole first corner, the hand out the window, waving to the Finnish fans that are on that first corner, saying, "Hey guys, 2 Finnish drivers in the show."
Just got a little word in my ear there. We've got a couple of guys in the truck who sometimes feed us information. They were saying that the head safety marshal saying if it's okay for the driver just to do the first corner for a simple reason, because of the smoke and not creating too much smoke so we can get on to the next battle. No need to create a load of smoke in the arena. That's going to take us time to clear. They're saying, hey, let's get on to the next battle. You've already won this one, buddy. Keski-Korpi, you're into the top 16.
There you go. First top 16 of the year for this young man. And we met him in Mondello Park at round 1 many, many months ago, and he was a nervous young man. And he said, I love this championship. I've always wanted to drive in it. We need to make it official. There we go. You're going to see that light up. And Mika Keski-Korpi getting the win. And you know what? I think he's really grown into this role. He said to me a couple of rounds ago, he said, you know, it's taken me a while to get where I need to be. He said, but I wanted to be here to learn because I want to learn from the best. And you know what? That can't have been any more truer, because if you watched his driving talent over the course of the year, from doing the National Series as well when he goes back home to Finland, and driving here at Drift Masters, he's progressing every single event, and it really shows today. So there we go. We're going to move on to the next battle of the evening. Cars warmed up, tyres warmed up, and those guys pulled to the line. And this one, well, again, a tale of 2 heavy hitters. It will be Torani Kavia to take on Enver Haskasap. Torani Kavia looking for a little bit of redemption after the accident in Germany, saying he's trying to do things that other drivers didn't do. And look at this from Enver Haskasap. Look where he's positioned that car, ready to jump onto the back bumper of that Norwegian driver.
I'm surprised there's even a rear end on the car. Kavia's car, he's taking it off in Germany. Hit the wall in Germany pretty hard. They said the car was very badly damaged, took it back to Norway, repaired it, and it got taken off last night in qualifying as well. Enver Haskasap, interesting line here.
Yeah.
Chase driver has a little bit of freedom to move around on the track where they want. He's definitely got the machinery, he's got the pace, and Enver Haskasap looking confident and focused. He has had a tough season, got on fire in Austria. Looked to me like he had a couple of issues in practice here as well, but he'll be gunning for Kavia, knowing Kavia is a bit of a wild card here. He's a guy that's going to go very extreme in every battle. Torani Kavia, we usually see Kavia walking around the paddock, sunglasses on, having a conversation with everyone, having a good time, smiling. Not a lot today. He had a game face on today. He wants to win this one tonight. He said, I've done enough this year. I've done everything but podium and everything but win. And I think tonight he wants to do it. He's got to go through a couple of different people, though. Enver Haskasap is in the chase position. Look at the inch off the line. Enver Haskasap's going for it here. This is a big battle, but he's lost out. Oh, wow. Kavia's jumped him big time.
Yeah, look at that. The grip dialed into Kavia's 180SX. Absolutely ripped away from that start line. Fires into that first outside zone. And Kavia is a man on a charge this evening here in Poland. And look at that. He's absolutely thrown Enver Haskasap now. As Haskasap tries to play catch-up. There's almost 6, 8, 9 car lengths in this one as they transition through the centre of the circuit. Kavia is up and gone, and the car shuts down. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Dave?
I honestly don't know what's happened there. The car has shut off. Torani Kavia's car has been incredibly reliable this year, and the car has shut off. And you can see the shake of the head from Torani Kavia. You can see Dwayne McKeever there shaking his head. Every driver knows what that feels like. It is the worst feeling in the world when the car just gives up. He's the battle half won at this point.
Half won at that point. And you know what? Kavia's, previous years used to run that Chevrolet V8 under the bonnet of this 180SX, naturally aspirated. He had a lot of problems with the car. He went away, he changed the engine to a Toyota V8, and he put a turbo on. He said, it is so reliable, it's so powerful.
I'm just going to say,
it's a perfect power plant, but now it's letting down.
Something's wrong. The car's not starting. I think he's going to be out of this battle. He's taking the harnesses off. I think that might be the end of Kvyat's weekend.
Oh, and we're hearing in my ear, Dave, he's lost the gearbox in the car. The gearbox has failed.
You can see a lot of the team running out, try to push that car back in. He's got a minute to get it done, and you can see Kvyat waving to the fans. I think he knows that I'm not sure what's happening tonight in the stadium, but it's everything that we hoped it wouldn't be in one way, with a lot of mechanical failures and a lot of heartbreak. And then on the other side, you see a lot of underdog drivers, a lot of guys statistically that have had a tough year getting the break they wanted all year. And Enver Haskasap, who was 8-9 car lengths behind and wasn't really in the fight, all of a sudden might just have taken the win here. But we'll wait for the clock to tick down. But I think if the gearbox is gone in Kvyat's car, I'm not too sure there's much they can do about that in that time scale. 30 seconds, I don't think they're going to get that car back out here. And that would leave Enver Haskasap with an initiation into the first corner, finish the first zone, and he's going to the top 16. Ian, we've... you can throw all your notes out the window because it means nothing tonight.
I don't even know. Look, I'm not going to lie. We sat in the office earlier on and we were going through all the, the scenarios of the top-end players in the championship. And Kvyat, he can't win the championship mathematically tonight. He couldn't win it. He was in 5th place, but he could make an upset. He could make an upset. He could come in and he could face Peter Vinsek in the Great 8 if that was how the battle tree would have felt.
Enver Haskasap takes out Peter Vinsek in the top 16. That could be the case, right?
That could be the case. But now, in the Great 8.
The Great 8.
But Kvyat, you look at him and say he has the chance. He's the only man really this year to take down Vinsek in a battle head-to-head. And then you could walk away from that, that little meeting we had, and we said, well, that's kind of where we're at. Kvyat might climb up to 3rd place in the championship. And now you look at the paperwork and you say, well, I don't even know anymore, because forget everything you thought might happen.
Well, I'm also looking at, and if I'm not mistaken here, the man that will be looking at this very closely is James Dean. Because James Dean sits in 4th. The guy behind him is Twarney Kvyat, who now looks to me like he's out of competition. And then Conor Shanahan, who's ahead of him in the competition, is now out in the top 32. So could James Dean jump into the 3rd or 2nd place in the championship by the end of tonight?
Well, the only way that James Dean can meet Jack Shanahan will be in the final 4 playoff, which is way late into the night tonight.
The way things are going, I'm not predicting any of that to happen. So right now, if you're just joining us in the top 32, Conor Shanahan bows out of competition and the championship power steering failure. Churba's engine lets go. Max Heidrich goes in the wall. Jakob Kroll and Hartmann have what we now call a battle, which happened in the top 32. Viansek takes down Rarahowski. The championship still well on for him. Keski, Korpi and Halovnia goes in the wall, and now Kvyat, halfway through the run, breaks down, and we're not even halfway through the top 32. That's drama almost at every turn.
I'll tell you what there is. There's a lot of men in the paddock crying, Dave, now.
There's a lot of people that I'm telling you, I'm almost emotional for them, especially when you do 6 rounds and you get all the way to the final of the big stadium, and that's when the car gives up. I mean, Kvyat especially, Shanahan especially, especially with the top 5 in the championship, can't even contend.
Well, here we go. Look, this one being made official, Dave, and Enver Haskasap advancing through to the top 16. He says, well, that was fairly easy.
And he would have lined up, he would have looked last night at the bracket and gone, Kvyat. Wow, this is going to be a tough one.
The man, you take him to a stadium and he absolutely destroys everyone. And I mean, we took him to Sweden and he was absolutely on flying form, got onto the podium, felt on top of the world.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you one thing, right now, Jaroslav Tresh is in the next battle with Kevin Piscalti. Looks like he's shut down in the warm-up area.
No,
he's okay. He's okay.
His mechanics out there with him, and the hands are frantically being thrown around in the car. I spoke to Kevin Piscalti when I got here. The door is now open, and it looks like Jaroslav Tresh is going to get out of that car. I spoke to Kevin Piscalti the other night. And he's throwing the gloves off, and it looks like the car has failed on him in the warming area to warm the tyres, which is on the circuit. And he throws his hands up to everybody in the grandstand and says, well, that's that. Right, going back to Kevin Piscalti, he won his national championship event just a week ago. I spoke to him when we got here on Thursday, and he said to me, I'm going to win this round.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing about Jaroslav Tresh. He's walked off the circuit. He's just left the car there. He is very, very unhappy with what's happening. The mechanic is looking at the car, but I think Jaroslav Tresh has almost said, I'm not too sure this is fixable, whatever's up with it. I'm wondering, the mechanic frantically checking to see if something can be fixed on the car. There's a minute left. Jaroslav Thresh has almost said the car is done, but now he's making his way back to the car to see if anything can be done. And the gloves are going back on. We've never seen anything quite like this before. Is it something that can be fixed on the car? And the mechanic is in the car. We don't know this young man's name, but he is definitely trying to do a full vehicle inspection in about 30 seconds here. 40 seconds on the clock. Can they get this car going? It seemed to me like maybe the brakes locked on or something. It was very strange.
I'm hearing, sorry to jump on you there, Dave. I'm hearing word in my ear. It's an electrical issue and the car is intermittently cutting out. There you go. Look, he wiggled something down there and the headlights came on. So there is an intermittent fault with the electrical system on this car, which is what I guess he went to do a burnout to warm the tyres and then the car cut out. Then he restarted it, moved forward again, the car cut back out again.
And now he's got 13 seconds to get in the car, so I don't think this is going to be able to make it back to the star line.
Yeah, and I mean, and now Marshall there, they're telling him no, he's out. The car,
and the car starts moving again. No, the car's cut off again. Yeah, you can see that car is not running or working, but it is driving away under its own power. You got to feel for the 17-year-old Ukrainian Jaroslav Thresh all wound up, ready to go for this top 32 battle. Looking at some of the big contenders in the championship falling out, saying tonight will be my night, and it wasn't his night. Another talented driver walks out of the venue rather than drives out of the venue, and that car, look, it's struggling to even get out of the area. It's, can't understand what's happened with the car, and he's walking away, and there's going to be a couple of quiet moments for these guys in the pits, and all the drama and the energy and the eyes are inside the stadium. But I'll tell you what, behind the scenes there is some very disgruntled and I would say devastated young men in there that haven't made it. Kevin Piscalty sitting on the star line going, I can't even believe what's happening.
Well, I mean, he came with all the energy and all the confidence in the world when he's walking around on Thursday night, and now he sits there saying, a bye run in the top 32 to top 16? Well, I'll take that any day of the week because I'm going to win this event, whatever happens. And Piscalty, well, bye run for him. And I don't think I've ever been to an event in my life where so much drama has happened in one half of a top 32 bracket.
Well, so much drama has happened with so little drifting. That's, it's all behind the scenes, and Piscalty finishes the first half of the course. He'll get the win here, and he's going to be all smiles. His teams are going to be all smiles, and he's going to start believing now that he can do some damage here this weekend.
He certainly is. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're coming in with all that confidence, walking around, and saying that this is the event for me. And to be honest, I've seen the practice runs earlier today, him and James Dean, and he was on form.
I'm telling you one thing right now, if you're looking at the championship, Peter Wiańczek, the top 32 win, which now puts all the pressure on Jack Shanahan, who will be our next battle, remember, as Kevin Piscalty will get the honours here and go through to that top 16. But I'll tell you one thing, Jack Shanahan has to win this top 32 or the championship's over. That's where we're at. As far as I'm concerned, Peter Wiańczek will score more points and he can't be caught. So Jack Shanahan has to beat Norbert Samic. And while Jack warms up, we're going to go straight over to Becky, who's with brother Conor Shanahan. And we have to make it official. Kevin Piscalty is going to go through to the top 16. It's all going off here on the track. Conor Shanahan's with you, Becky. What a disastrous end to the season for him.
Absolutely, Dave. Conor, commiserations. I know this is the worst possible way to start this evening for you. What is going through your mind right now? I know your family are devastated. I saw you as you were coming out the car. What happened?
Yeah, for sure. I'm struggling to hold back the emotions a little bit now. So, yeah, honestly, just one word. I'm absolutely heartbroken. I put so much energy into this season, and yeah, it all got taken away from my hands. Today was an incredible day. I was pushing super hard in practice. Honestly felt I had everything in the case to win tonight. These tracks suit me. Everything is possible that I could have got the job done. But yeah, then it started to slip away. Unfortunately, we had contact in our last practice lap with the chase car hitting me. Something happened, what we didn't realise in the pits. Went out and realised that we had no power steering. But it's the joys of drifting, but obviously I would have preferred if it happened in a different event. But to be honest, it's heartbreaking. It's going to take a couple of days to get over it for sure, but I'm proud of myself. This has been an incredible year. We've been fighting with the best of the best, and I know for sure I can come back next year and win this championship, and I'm going to push to the limit next year, but didn't go my way, and Jack's on the starting line. I'm going to be cheering him on tonight. To all the fans over in the corner, to all the people from Kilavolan and Kilavolan back home watching, thank you so much for coming, and yeah, that makes it a little bit easier. I'm looking forward to still celebrating an incredible year. To my family, to my team, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next year. Peace out for this year.
Thank you so much, Conor. Well, it's now down to Jack. Good luck, Jack.
It is indeed, Becky, down to Jack Shanahan. He's got to get the job done here. Championship is on the line. If Shanahan loses this battle, it's all over. Peter Wieniec is your 2022 Drift Masters European champion. The pressure of an entire nation rests on the shoulders of Jack Shanahan, and Norbert Zammich lines up beside him, and that man is ready to take all comers tonight.
He certainly is, Dave. This is for everything. This is for every round of the championship. This is for every run on every circuit that we have travelled all around Europe right now for. If Shanahan gets the job done, the fight continues. If Norbert Zammich out of nowhere says, not tonight, buddy, tonight's my night, this is it, it's over, and we crown Wieniec the winner. Look at this, Zammich is hungry, Dave. We've done damage before. Can tonight be the night that Zammich takes down a heavy hitter?
Jack Shanahan goes into the first corner, very wide from Shanahan to the wall. Zammich on big angle, Zammich in the wall.
Wow.
And Shanahan keeps the fight alive. The Irish fans on their feet in the grandstand. The Polish fans said, we'll put the beer back down. It's not time to celebrate yet. This championship is still on the line. Zammich goes in the wall. I'm not too sure if that car is going to be able to compete. The drama of this top 32 is beyond anything I've ever witnessed before.
I don't even think if I can carry on, Dave. I think we're going to have another team of commentators come in and take over, because if things continue like this, me and you won't fall out of this complex.
I think we're going to need therapy at the end of this one. Norbert Zammich has absolutely smashed the wall. Now, I want to see, Norbert Zammich has gone back to the start line, so can that car continue? That's the question. I might have been premature on thinking that he hit it so hard.
He did.
And I can't believe there's no damage, but if he hit it directly with the back end of the car, which he may have done, he's still in the fight. However, it is going to be an automatic advantage to Jack Shanahan. The wall will need to be fixed. Let's have a look at the back of what's left of the back of Zammich's car, and that looks okay to me.
I think it was this. You see this steel tube frame that protects that fuel tank. I think that was what hit the wall more than anything, because he dialed on quite a lot of angle. We are hearing word that Zammich may be able to continue, but that will be down to our safety marshal who is with him right now. And look at this. Look at the angle, and you'll see that steel frame. That's what hit the wall. That's what upset him. He saved it so well that he just glanced the wall with a front wheel.
That is a phenomenal save from Norbert Zammich. He hits the wall, everything goes strange, and all of a sudden watch him steer it out of it. Stay in the fight. Hits the back end, look at the front wheels, steers him off the brakes, back off it again.
So lucky.
Incredible.
Look at the front wheel.
Oh, the front wheel on the car, if we can get a shot of the far side. He has completely skimmed off the whole edge of the wheel on the front of the car off the wall, but it looks to me like that wheel is still holding pressure and holding air. If we can get a camera to the far side of the front of Norbert Zammich's car, you'll see that. And I'll tell you one thing, this is what all of the drama is about in this championship. The fight is on. Shanahan thinks he has the job done. His spotter will have been in the radio saying, red flag's out, you're good, and now he's back in the chase position.
I tell you what, all of Wieniec's team had the bottle of champagne out of the cooler in their hands and then went, no, put them back for another 5 minutes, because we're going to need to cool them for longer.
There's going to be an emotional roller coaster right through this one, and to me at the moment it looks like Shanahan stands with the big advantage. Doesn't have to do a whole lot here, just stay in the fight. However, what if Shanahan's car gives trouble? What if anything happens? You just don't know.
Look at the front wheel.
Look at the wheel. Absolutely destroyed off the wall, Norbert Zammich's car. Fantastic crew at Red Bull TV being able to show us this. I mean, that car is pretty battered. That wheel is on the edge, but Norbert Zammich is not thinking about any of that. He thinks only halfway there, we can still make something happen. He could try and force this to a one more time. And if something happens, Shanahan, that would be the case. But this is going to be an interesting top 32, and the wall being fixed by our amazing staff here at DMEC. And those guys have, between walls and tarmac and spills, and they have been working tirelessly on the track. And those guys are making it all possible, making it all happen. And they may not be the heroes on the scoreboard, but they're the heroes to everybody else, because they make sure the show stays on the road. The Irish fans rose out of their seat, standing ovation for Jack Shanahan. Then they sat back down, because it's not over yet.
Do you know what, Dave? I haven't had a moment to look out the window here. Not too many moments anyway. I've been focused on the screen that we have in front of us, that we watch everything that you guys see at home, that we commentate on. I just looked out and looked around the stadium, and almost every single seat is filled.
This is incredible. The goosebumps just went up on my arm.
10,000 people are sitting here right now watching greatness. Dave, greatness.
And carnage, because there's been a lot of cars very close to those walls. Dwayne McKeever, you can see him there nodding on, saying, I'll get in my car when I'm good and ready, and I'm not going to stress myself out. He wants a good, strong end to the season. Another couple of drivers there. watching on. You'll see some of Steve Banks-Biagione's team there. We've got
The
Shanahan's team. They're definitely watching on. You've got some of the guys there waiting for their own driver to come out of the pit area.
Yeah, Henry Hamper's crew. Henry Hamper there, standing there chilled, ready to rock and roll. He's got a few battles. He's got a big battle to come up. He's against James Dean in a few battles' time.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, everyone's living the moment. I think that's what the whole ethos is of this weekend. I think everyone's soaking up the atmosphere, living in this moment, and to walk away at the end of this weekend and say, we were there, we did it, we experienced it. What a weekend it was.
Well, I think history's going to be made here this weekend, and let's be perfectly honest that as far as I'm concerned right now, you're watching something very special and, you know, unravel in front of your eyes. It's not going to be the prettiest event. There's going to be some people here that got to win ugly. There's some people here that have got to survive. There's some people that have to get the job done. Cars will not exit here in good condition at the end of this. Drivers, well, there'll be heartbreak, there'll be elation, there'll be champagne, but there won't be champagne for Peter Gajicek just yet. But Jack Shanahan has to get the job done here, has to stay control, and he takes a big chance and makes a big mistake in the first corner. It looks to me Shanahan's car is failing. What has happened, Jack Shanahan? He is just about keeping that car moving. Something happened there with Jack Shanahan, and I'm not too sure exactly what's going on, but he's holding on just by his fingertips at the moment and staying in this battle. This is a war of attrition as Jack Shanahan doesn't look comfortable to me. Or is Norbert Zamitsch? Oh, Jack Shanahan in no man's land on the inside of the track, just about drifting, which is all he has to do here. This was a lot closer than it looked at the start of the run.
Words defy me, Dave. Words defy me, because if you're sitting at home right now watching this, as much as me and Dave are, you're saying, I don't even know. I don't even know.
I'm not exactly sure what's happened there. And I'll tell you one thing, that
I'd love to know what's going on with
that's
that
the
Shanahan
spotter
car.
for Jack Shanahan there on the radio. You could hear him talking to him. Let's see what happened. He dives in. Zamitsch is on the wall. I'm not sure.
Jack's car is making no power.
No
Look,
smoke.
there's no smoke. He's on the foot brake. He's on the foot brake to keep the car out of those barriers on the inside of the track.
Yeah, it looks very uncomfortable. Something very not right with Jack Shanahan's car there.
I mean, it does come up on power. He starts to get into it. But then when he makes that transition across the circuit, watch here. Comes off the throttle, goes back on the throttle. He's way in the wrong place. He drops a wheel on the inside. And then the car, once again, look, no power. Takes forever to come up on boost. Doesn't seem to make too much power.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, Ian, and say that if Norbert Zamitsch hadn't gone in the wall on the first run, that would be the end of the championship. And only that Zamitsch was scoring. I mean, what we're going to see here is a Shanahan win or a one more time. I'm not sure what the judges have gone with here, but let's see what they say. It is going to be a Jack Shanahan win, just about getting into the top 16 and keeping the championship fight together. But if Norbert Zamitsch hadn't made that error in the wall, that second run for me was a worry for the Shanahan team. It didn't look strong, didn't look like that car was performing, and that's going to be straight in for a strip down in the pits to see what was causing that issue.
Yeah, it certainly is, Dave. There's going to be a few people now wondering what's up with that car. I'm wondering if that car can even make it as far as Peter's car in competition. That's the question that needs to be asked. And I mean, well,
honestly, we are supposed to sit here.
I think people think that we make this up sometimes. It's not as dramatic as it is.
I'll put it this way. If you told me to script this series, it would be less entertaining than the reality. I'll put it that way, because you can't imagine how many times. I mean, there's another wall hit. Was that Zamitsch in the wall?
That was Zamitsch, because he absolutely ballooned the back of that.
So he hits the wall again.
The wall.
I'm wondering, is that what caused Jack Shanahan maybe to come off throttle, thinking Zamitsch was in the wall? I'm not sure what happened there. I'm sure Jack Shanahan will tell us at some point down the line, but it wasn't plain sailing for sure for the young Irishman as he now heads into that top 16. Gajicek still in the top 16, and the battle goes into the main event, top 16 of the final event of the year on the grandest stage of them all. This is what we all wanted, and we're getting it, although we're not getting it in the most conventional way.
No, we're certainly not getting it in the most conventional way. Well, the Finnish flags are flying, and that's because we have a Finnish driver on the line, Dave. It is going to be Juha Rittinen to take on Steve Biagione. A battle of two absolute titans. These two have gone together in Germany just a few weeks ago, and carnage erupted on the circuit.
I woke up in 2017. Juha Rittinen, Steve Biagione. And you know what? I think that's a testament. These are two guys that have been at the top of their game for a very long time. And the thing is, they'll know each other. They've been to many events against each other.
Look at this. Now, start line marshal Marcy cleaning Bagsy's glasses so he can see where he goes.
Well, he's going to need all the vision he can because this is a very, very tough track. And I'll tell you one thing, Bagsy and Rintanen, well, they're going to know straight away. There's Bagsy's team. They look nervous. Everybody looks nervous in that holding area because at any moment, we've watched it, anything can change. The night could go from a success to a failure. And some of the Irish crew there having a good bit of fun. I'll tell you one thing, Bagsy and Rintanen are going to look left and right here and say, not today.
Well, I'll tell you what it's going to be for Rintanen. It's going to be a little bit of redemption because Bagsy took Rintanen down in Germany, and Rintanen's going to say, I've got too many fans here tonight to let you take me out of competition. I want to move forward. I want to move forward and get some points. I want to taste that champagne at the end of the night. Bagsy said this weekend he's come in to make an upset. He's come in to create some problems in the championship. As he sits on the line in that V8-powered Silvia, he says, well, I've took you down once. I could take you down again. And look at this, the heat indicator equal both sides. These guys, they've met once, but it was equal either way. Qualification, Rintanen looks like the stronger driver.
Well, here we go. We got a little bit of pickup on the track. Just a little throwback there. I was just overhearing some of the judges saying that in the Jack Shanahan-Zammich battle, Zammich is hit with the wall, causing the straighten up from Jack Shanahan in that one. Okay. So I thought there was an issue with the car, but the judges, I mean, they watch it so much closer than we do. And that wall hit, which is what we're cleaning up right now, was the reason Jack Shanahan backed out of that first corner. So judges having a look at it with their own eyes and a couple of replays there more than us. And just to clarify that one, Jack Shanahan maybe not as wounded as we thought, taking evasive action with the advantage in his hand. And next we move on to this one. Big heavyweight battle in the top 32. Rintanen from Finland, Bagsy from the UK. Here we go.
Yeah, look at this. Both cars jump off on the line, and look at Bagsy matching the pace of Rintanen. Oh, almost tags Rintanen on initiation. Nice initiation from Rintanen, though, straight in up into the wall. A little tag from Rintanen. Bagsy way down on the inside, needs to pull up his socks here. Goes for the dive on transition. Goes wide. Bagsy controls it, though, with Rintanen absolutely on a flyer, but he's out of the outside zone. They're pushing Bagsy way down on the bank with Rintanen now. Looks for the transition. Bagsy needs to make the dive through the centre of the circuit, and does as he looks for the door of that S15. They get up close and personal into the wall. Bagsy's car showing it down. It falls down on the inside of the circuit.
I'm not too sure what happened, Bagsy, on that last corner. It seemed like the car just dialed off power. Lot to talk about there. Some big errors in the lead and some errors in the chase, and I'm not too sure what happened, but I'll tell you what, it all starts with this on the run-up. Bagsy jumps a gear, and Rintanen just has to back off from him. And as they went to this first corner, Bagsy's not where he wanted to be. He has to let the car wash up and come back on power. And watch Rintanen's rear end wobble here, hits the wall, and has to back off. And Bagsy taking it to the inside zone. Rintanen and Bagsy very close. Now Bagsy leaves the transition super late after this. He sort of goes a little too aggressive, and as he goes in too hot, he has to let the car wash back out. Does get back around, though, as Rintanen goes back to the wall. Love the way the smoke clears from the back of Bagsy's car with the exhaust under there. Now Rintanen is right out on the edge of the track, but as they transition back here, watch Bagsy. He's on the inside of the track, takes a very narrow line here. Rintanen right out to the wall, and as Bagsy goes in, he starts to lose power. It looks like he starts losing a little bit of that smoke screen on the back of the car coming off throttle, or maybe the car just gripping up a little bit too much on the inside. They both get the job done, but I think this one's going to come down to the second half of the run. Rintanen having a contact with the wall. Bagsy almost trying to avoid contact with Rintanen throughout the run. And the magic tape brought out for the first time tonight. Marston and the magic tape is going to hopes and dreams tape. Yeah. Keep it all together.
I mean, look, he's trying to work a miracle there with that tape that he's got on the back of Rintanen's car. I mean, look, it wasn't the cleanest. Looking back at that replay on initiation, you could see Rintanen did tag the wall, and it did upset the front wheels. And now Rintanen backs up off the line. Oh, he's going to reposition a little bit, moving himself over, maybe get more of a run in to Bagsy. Thumbs up to the start line, Marshall Martin down there. They look for that light to go green. Here we go, Bagsy to lead out Juha Rintanen. Top 16 away, Bagsy's gone, absolutely up and gone. As he gets into the outside zone, Rintanen goes for a big dive. Bagsy flexes the back end of that Silvia. Rintanen tags him, Rintanen on the inside. Rintanen playing dirty, trying to put some hits onto that Silvia. Bagsy's car as now Rintanen wanders and wavers. Look at the shallow angle. Rintanen using Bagsy like a punch bag around the arena as he transitions back into the second to last outer zone. Goes Bagsy flying as Rintanen now starts to work it in, starts to find the door, but he just can't get there.
Oh, and look at the indicators on the bottom, almost identical across both runs. From where I'm sitting, there's still errors on both sides again on that run. And the one thing I will say, regardless of the errors, it's a highly entertaining battle because at any moment it looked like either driver was going to end up in the wall. Look at the initiation. Rintanen takes off like a rocket in the chase position, cuts the circuit dramatically to get with Bagsy. Now this is where Bagsy has a bit of an error, a little bit of a wobble here just as he goes into that inner zone. And on the transition, Rintanen trying to clean up the ground, trying to get back into the mix. Banksy's obviously had a pretty big hit with the wall on the first zone by the looks of things. Now this is where Rintanen is in a strange position. He's on the inside of the track and catching up, but he does do a good job of coming through the smoke, getting back up onto the door. Banksy goes to that outside line. Much cleaner lead and chase towards the end of the run, but not a lot of proximity from Rintanen. And again, I'm not sure which way the judges are going to go on this one. And I think I'm going to have to say, I'm going to plead the fifth on this one. Some errors in the lead, some errors in the chase. Very exciting moments.
I mean, you go lead to lead, chase to chase, which is exactly what the judge is going to be looking at. I think Bagsy's lead was better in the outside zones than Rittenen's. There were a few errors. I think the chases were both very, very scrappy. Both guys putting their cars in the wrong position on circuit. This is going to be hard for the judges to split. I'm not sure if we could see it one more time on this because it was so scrappy.
I'm not too sure. I mean, you look at Bagsy towards the end of that first run, just diving on the inside and stuff to us, and then you look at Rintanen making some errors on the wall. It's difficult because now the judges have to weigh up which sections of the track weighed the most in terms of deductions, because as you said, I think we've got maybe a better lead or cleaner lead from Bagsy, and we've probably got a little bit of a cleaner chase from, I wouldn't say clean, but cleaner.
More proximity.
Less stains on the chase from Juha Rintanen. And I would say that there's a lot to work out here, and I don't think this decision is going to come in 2 seconds. I think this is going to be one the judges are discussing.
And I mean, I think these guys know this as well. They'll know that, as we always say, Dave, inside the car, that it wasn't the best run that they could put out. We're going to find out, though, in a few seconds' time. As you can see, those guys appreciating the crowds here.
The sellout crowd.
Sellout.
10,000. Waiting to see who's going to win this one. And it's going to be a one more time between Bagsy and Rintanen. It's a one more time, and I think that's the fair call from the judges. Mistakes in the lead, mistakes in the chase, nothing clean on either side. And you probably weigh all of those off against each other. They want to see some level of someone being better over the two rather than both being a little bit scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't, these two up and down all over the place. It was easier to run them again and get a final decision. Here we go. Here's a big one. Diogo Correa, we said at the beginning of the year, he's going to be a superstar within no time. Then David Spossop turns up and we go, who's this guy? Oh, he's mega.
This is the battle I've been looking forward to all night long. Because I'll tell you what, Correa's qualifying and runs have been phenomenal. Spossop, we haven't seen much of him before. He's a wild card for this event. Watched some practice and said, now I know who he is.
Now I know.
So both of these guys are going to believe they're the guy who's going to take this one home. This is going to be a big battle. You might not be too familiar with both of these gentlemen. I'll tell you one thing, by the end of this you will be, because they're very talented drivers. Correa in the lead, Spossop in the chase, and Correa going with a big flick entry. Fires into that first corner. Correa back out onto the wall. Spossop putting a little bit of track here to stay with Correa. Correa on a nice lead run here. Look at Spossop now. Turn the screw and get it. Oh, wow. Correa gets away with it, and so does Spossop. Spossop now back on the door, cut the track though on the inside to keep that proximity. Looks like Correa's got the faster car, but Spossop not backing down. Expect a big dive through the track here from Spossop. Doesn't get it done early, gets it done late as Correa goes to the wall. What a lead run from Diogo Correa. Now Spossop starting to creep on the inside. That's Correa for me with the advantage. That's one of the best runs of this circuit we've seen this weekend.
110%. What a lead run from Diogo Correa. The transitions from Spossop were dangerous, Dave. Look at Correa, though, in the outside zone. Didn't leave it early, started to drop down a little bit, but kept it clean. Look at the transition from Spossop, though, through the smoke. Risked everything, almost hit the wall, because Correa was so close to it. Spossop was playing a dangerous game there. He knew he couldn't let Correa get away, though.
Diego Correa, highest average speed through the course, 69 kilometers an hour. It's the fastest run you've seen today, ladies and gentlemen. And Diogo Correa, well, I believe every bit of it. He was flying through there. Spossop did a good job everywhere, but I'll tell you what, that last corner could have committed a little bit more. When he dove through here, I thought he'd close the gap. He didn't. Then he's on the inside of the track. What are you going to do? You're trying to catch the lead car, but you're in the wrong place, and all of a sudden that corner gets very small, very tight. You don't want to overtake the lead car, and that's a big error. For me, Correa taking the advantage at the end of the first run.
Yeah, exactly that. It was all down to the transition as well. He kind of dived, but he didn't let the car dive enough or push it enough onto the door of Correa. I didn't think he trusted Correa into that second to last outside zone, and that's where Spossop went wrong. He should have trusted Correa to be on that perfect line, which he was, and he didn't, and then he found himself on the inside, especially when you get on that bank in, car starts to drop down. Here we go, Spossop to lead out Diogo Correa. Correa's flames erupt from the back of that E92 BMW, and now Correa says, well, let's see what you've got, big guy, as they fire around that first outside zone. Down they come. Spossop left it a little early, big angle thrown on. It almost messed up Correa, but he dealt with it now as Correa says, what are you doing? up there on the wall is Spossop, though, falls away, and Correa has a little wander, a little waver, a little upset from Correa. They fire down, second to last outside zone coming up, both shallow angle, mimicking is Correa, as Correa now sticks it to the door, sticks it to the wall and across the line.
Tell you what, I think we need a marshal's inquiry here. Because I don't think Diogo Correa has a steering wheel in his car. I think he's got a PlayStation controller, because the way he changed direction on those inner zones doesn't make any sense. How did the wheel change
that quick?
He got out of trouble phenomenally.
So
watch
quick.
this. As they come through the first corner, he starts to reel him in. He goes a little too close, in my opinion, Correa. But watch the change of direction from Correa. He has to go this way, then he thinks he's going to hit him, spots up on big angle. All of a sudden, Correa, you think he's going to go in the barrier, and then he switches direction in the blink of an eye and gets back in it again. Phenomenal driving from both drivers, I must say, in lead and chase on that one. Watch Correa here, look. Oh, and back out of it again, and he's on the door instantly. That's the moment for me where there was a small bit of a masterclass, and I didn't see it from anywhere else on both runs, but I think Correa, for me, had a couple of moments. His lead, phenomenal. In the chase, no major errors. Got to give it up to Spossop, though, doing a good job of giving him that good lead to chase.
Yeah, 100%. Spossop's really made his name here at Drift Masters, and those two guys pushing 110%, and Spossop saying, what a night, what an event to be at, what a way to announce your name in Drift Masters.
And his car's still absolutely immaculate.
Still
after
That's
two days of driving, he has to put a mark on the car. What an achievement in itself. But the big achievement is going to go to Diogo Correa, who goes through to the top 16, takes out the wild card Spossop. But you know what, Spossop, for me, a very strong showing from all of the wild cards, but especially him, the standout driver and the standout addition here in Poland. Unfortunately, the Polish fans will watch the Portuguese man go to the top 16, and he deserves a little turn of fortune. He's had a lot of car issues this year. Remember, he's running a 900 horsepower Mercedes CLK engine in a BMW. Doesn't make sense, doesn't have to make sense. We now move back to the start line, where another couple of nearly 1,000 horsepower is about to take off the line. Christian Erlandson hasn't had the best year. Ollie Evans, moments of brilliance but no consistency. They now meet head-to-head, Wales versus Sweden in the top 32. And I'll tell you one thing, bets are off.
Bets are off. Well, look, we go back to Sweden a few rounds ago. Christian Erlandson was meant to battle Oliver Evans in the top 32. He blew the engine up in practice, but then Oliver Evans smoked the clutch in his car. Christian Erlandson gave him the spare clutch so he could go out to do the buy run against him. Now they sit on the line, both cars 110%, and they say, well, let's go through that moment we was meant to go through a couple of months ago. They're off the line. Evans to lead out Erlandson. Erlandson looking on form this weekend, but Oliver Evans, a point to prove here in Poland this weekend. Nice initiation into the outside zone, but look at Erlandson, took the time and waited for... Oh, and big wash. I thought he was going to hit the wall there. Erlandson washed that car, had to wait for it to grip back up again to find Oliver Evans is S15. They transition through the centre of the circuit, and now Erlandson starts to lose some ground. Doesn't look like that car working 100%, as the front wheels don't seem to be going where he is, but now he finds that proximity again across the line.
Looked to me like on the transition on the inner zone, Erlandson frightens himself, gets too close, comes off the throttle, back end grips, understeer, did well to stay in it, but if I'm not mistaken, it looks to me like that would be close to a zero, because he went on opposite drift or an understeer moment. Let's have a look at it again. Watch the chase car. Does he zero out here? Does he stop drifting? You can see he gets really close and he transitions. That looks to me like a considerable amount of understeer through that center section.
I held my breath for a moment there, because
he
went to transition. The car just didn't react. It just didn't want to. It didn't want to change direction.
Now, he does a good job of getting back in it, but I'm not too sure if the judges will deem that a zero for just not drifting through that section, or if he does score anything for it, it's going to be a major deduction, giving the advantage to Oliver Evans. As far as it looked to me, if there was anything more in there, we'll hear it from the judges, but it looked to me like it was just an error from Erlandson in the chase. However, stranger things have happened in the second half of battles here, and Erlandson deemed at fault. Just a little nod from the judges there. He is deemed at fault for that understeer. I think he just caught himself a little bit, got a little too close, and then when he transitioned, he thought the car would transition, but it just stopped in the middle, and said, the rear wheels went, I think we should have more grip than the front wheels right now, and just sent the car almost into the barrier. Did well to keep it, but Evans now sits with a big advantage. Doesn't want to throw it away.
No, I was worried for Christian Erlandson on the faster transition through the centre of the circuit, because I thought if it's going to get understeer again, he's travelling at big speed across this track towards that concrete wall. This could end in tears. Well, they're back on the line. They're back ready to go. It will be Evans to chase down Christian Erlandson now. Oh, look at the aggression from Oliver Evans as Erlandson fires in that cream Mocker, GT86. Nice line through the outside zone. Evans playing it safe here, giving him some room to manoeuvre. Now starts to make the dive, looking for the rear corner. That GT86 as Evans wanders and wavers in the outside zone, tucks the wheel on the door as Christian Erlandson falls way off that qualifying line. Through the centre of the circuit they go. Christian Erlandson's a little unnerved here. He can feel Oliver Evans breathing down his neck as Evans puts the pressure on into that final outside zone. Evans looking strong.
You know what? That's a statement from Oliver Evans, because he didn't need to be that aggressive in the chase position. But I think Oliver Evans took it as a chance, one, to show off to all of us and the fans, but two, I think he took it as a chance to know that if this is going to be a win, he can't back down on the next run, and therefore he needs to get that close proximity battle practice, get in the zone, be able to adapt to the lead car. And boy, did he do a good job of that. He adapted to Erlandson right throughout the course.
But look at Christian Erlandson's average speed, though, Dave, 70 kilometres an hour. That's a new benchmark. That just goes to show you how fast Christian Erlandson was going, how much he was pushing that car. Look at this, though, from Evans. What a statement. Puts the wheel almost to the door, almost leaves a little mark on the door. And Oliver Evans playing with danger, but you could see how far out of the outside zone, how far off that qualifying line Erlandson was there, as that front bumper was almost on those barriers.
Well, we'll see if the judges are in agreement.
Christian, look at Oliver Evans is looking for tyre marks. Look, yeah, I got one there. Got one there. Look at, he's like, well, do you know what? Christian Erlandson will be ecstatic because he's had a pretty bad year. And to get into top 32 and actually make a battle is where he wanted to be.
Absolutely. Let's see which way the judges drop in. It's an obvious one. Oliver Evans getting the win and going through to our top 16 here at the main event. I think that would have been obvious to Evans and Erlandson that happened. I'm sure Evans knew from the radio halfway through the run that he had the big advantage. He knew it was a good chase. And we move to the start line for another huge heavyweight battle. And it is going to be Henry Hampa going up against James Deane. And I'll tell you one thing. James Deane's car comes into the top 32 carrying a lot of battle scars. Front bumper destroyed in qualifying, rear end patched together after Germany. He's had a tough year. Henry Hampa, though, matching every piece of damage on his car, which he is likely to hit into everything around this circuit. I'll tell you one thing, for a first battle for both of these guys, this is a high-stakes encounter.
It certainly is. James Deane can't go into this saying this is an easy component. Henry Hampa, he comes into this with plenty of credentials under his belt. He knows what he's got, he knows the machinery, and we've seen him put down some incredible practice runs earlier on today and yesterday. But it didn't play out for him in qualifying. That qualifying session was hard, was full of some of the best, so he didn't get the score he maybe wanted to get. But now's the time for a little bit of redemption. Can he put James Deane out of competition? Can he stop the man climbing even further up the championship?
Well, tonight might be the night, because everything is rolling the dice tonight. We don't know what's going to happen. James Deane testing the steering in his car, had power steering failure in qualifying yesterday. You can see him double checking, treble checking the power steering on the start line to make sure it's okay. Henry Hampa, well, he might smell a bit of blood in the water this weekend, say take down James Deane, names in lights. Right now Deane comes off the line with a lot of pace, and Hampa has to make a ground up. Hampa has gone very deep, but he does a good job of getting into the pocket as Deane goes through the inner zones very, very nicely, and Hampa's got a big issue.
Wow.
Hampa has a problem with the car. Something shuts down, and again, the car, not the driver, deciding to run.
And you know what? Henry Hampa's crew yesterday in the practice session before qualifying had the whole front end of that car off. They were grinding and welding the pulleys on the engine, and I wonder if that issue that they had yesterday has rose its head again. And I think James Deane's just been handed a gift card into the top 16, Dave.
Well, it's not over till it's over, but I will say one thing, that James Deane, now I know James Deane, it's sort of a championship win or nothing for James Deane, especially when he's been to the mountaintop so many times. But for the trials and tribulations he's had this year in the championship, to me it looks like the top 3 finish in this championship would be incredible. And I say finish as a pun because Henry Hampa looks like he's limping out of the circuit, meaning that he will not continue, meaning all James Deane will have to do is complete the initiation in the first corner, well, initiation even, into the corner to take the win here and go to the top 16. And now he's starting to climb back into the mix when Conor Shannon now doesn't score anything in the top 32. This will be an interesting one as the mathematics go along.
Power steering again.
Another power steering.
Another power steering fault. And it happened where James Deane's happened yesterday. So you know how scary that is, because we see James Deane take his car to the wall. And that's why Henry Hampa couldn't turn out from almost hitting those barriers on the inside edge of the circuit. That's why he locked the car up.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at the top 5 in the championship, Conor Shannon currently sitting 3rd place in the championship. He doesn't go through. Commiserations there out before the even battle began. And then you look at Torani Kvyat, 5th place at the moment, out of the championship race, out of the event. And James Dean, who's sitting in 4th at the moment, now doesn't have Kavia breathing down his neck. He's got Conor Shannon in front of him, out of the competition. Wiańczek and Jack Shannon, the 2 championship contenders, the 2 favourites, still in the mix going into the top 16, meaning that the championship has to go to the top 16 of the final round of the championship in the stadium with the €250,000 worth of tarmac laid down and the 10,000 seats sold out. And James Dean will be joining them to see what happens.
Well, he certainly will, and he'll be told just to initiate, just to fulfill that first outside zone, and then shut the car down. And there we go.
James Dean choosing to do a run on the... Well,
no, he does shut it down.
James Dean saying, you know what, not
I'm
tonight.
going to do a full run. Yeah.
Not tonight. Let's just get to the top 16. And he's watching a lot of other cars drop here. More laps doesn't mean anything else other than more wear and tear. So he waves to the crowd. He's going to come back in front of the Irish fans. You can see them there. They're all ready for the Irish fans to celebrate tonight. But Peter Wiańczek and the rest of the stadium, 80%, the Polish fans want to see Wiańczek finally take his back-to-back European Championships. He's looking the strongest right now to do it as far as I'm concerned. And it will be James Dean going through to the top 16. No surprises there. Henry Hampa out of competition. Next up, if you're a fan of yellow and black drift cars, well, have we got a treat for you?
We've got 2 for 1, Dave. We've got 2 for 1 right now, and it's going to be Oliver Randalou to take on Adam Zalewski. And Zalewski, well, not that on form, Dave, this year.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Adam Zalewski. It doesn't matter if he's on form or not. He's a big game player.
He is a big game player.
He comes out on the nights you think, oh, people like Ian beside me here saying, oh, he's not had a great year. And then he absolutely smashes everyone off the track. And tonight, in the state, he's won European Championships in a stadium. So
certainly has. Tonight could be the night.
He's been there before. And I'll tell you, Oliver Randalou, he might have been there at round 1, but again, a dip in form from that point on. So 2 drivers looking for a little redemption towards the end, a space in the top 16 up for grabs. And as far as I'm concerned right now, I think Zalewski, in front of the home crowd, with a bit more experience in the stadiums, goes in as the favourite for me.
I think you're right there, Dave. I was going to big him back up again before you shut me down.
That's what I do. That's my job.
But you know what, Zalewski, he's had moments of brilliance this year. Car problems in Austria really, I think, was the beginning of the story for Zalewski, because after that event, things really didn't go his way.
He was in the mix, but he had more car issues than we've noticed in the past.
Of course, yeah, and 100%. And I think those car issues today were showing their head as well. I see a lot of his crew running around behind the scenes, trying to get that car 100%. We go to Randalou. Now, he hasn't had the car problems, but he hasn't had the show of form that he had at round 1.
It looked to me like he started very strong, and he just couldn't replicate the groove.
No.
Got into a groove in Mondello Park, did very well with it, adapted very well to that circuit, and then just had, he's been in the mix, but he hasn't really shone out of the pack. He knows Zalewski's good. He knows he can go for it here. Zalewski versus Randalou. The spot in the top 16 up for grabs. Here we go. Zalewski fires into that first corner. Randalou coming in on a big wash and just about dials the angle on to avoid a collision as they go through the first section. Randalou getting brave here, but he's straightening up a little bit to do so. Not a lot of angle from Oliver Randalou. Looks like that car is very gripped up and not able to deal with the big angle from Zalewski right now. Zalewski goes right to the edge of the zone. Now, Randalou's going to have to force the issue here. Zalewski fires back late. Big early transition from Zalewski, right what the judges want to see. And Randalou's there in the mix now. Got to get up onto the door, and does. Nice finish to the run from both of these drivers. But it looked to me, just through the inner zones, that Randalou's car didn't want to float, didn't want to move. Looked like it was gripped up a little bit too much, and he was losing a bit of ground and a little bit of points for me.
I think there was a massive straighten, Dave, if I'm brutally honest with you. You couldn't really see it through the smoke. Watch the front wheels now. They're straight, they're straight, they're straight, then he flicks. It was a big moment of straightening there. And even when he came in to that front zone, he's on very shallow angle, has to use the handbrake to reinitiate. Watch the front wheels. They were straight for a long time there, Dave, and even these transitions weren't perfect. The judges are going to absolutely crucify him for that move.
And it's the toughest part of the track because it's the most unnatural.
Yeah, of course.
You've got 3 equidistant corners, let's be honest. It's like a big 8. And then you've got this inner zone section, and it's dividing the battles because it's an unnatural line. You got to tuck the nose of the car in, then it's really snappy transitions. Of course, for absolutely, I have no idea what reason, we have a front concrete wall clipping zone, but all of that is to challenge the best in the business. And then you see those unnatural lines, those points of the track that, yes, they're not the most flowing, but they're there to separate the drivers. And on that particular occasion, Oliver Randalou not adapting to it perfectly, in my opinion. And it looked to me like Adam Zalewski doing a great job in the lead. Advantage Zalewski, and you know what? we're only halfway there. So let's not count our chickens before they're hatched, because let's all the
We've
time.
done that before.
We have never had any chickens because they have never hatched. Every time we make a statement, we just count them and say we're going to have 7 chickens. Not one of them hatches.
Not one of them hatched.
No, this top 32 chickenless.
Chickenless top 32. Well, here we go. Oliver Randleau pulls to the line, ready to lead out Zalewski. Look at the way Zalewski's positioned that car. I was just taking my time to watch the screen. Look how he's positioned it, quite a way back, a long way back compared to most of the other drivers. I think he wants a big run in here. I think he knows, or he would have been told on the radio from the spotters, that Randleau's car's gripped up to the 9s. We're going to have to run a bigger run in here and try and dive onto the door for initiation and get the thumbs up ready to go.
It's going to be a dangerous initiation here if he's going for this Zalewski. You can see he's going for it from the off. He's not letting Randleau away here. Into the first corner they go. Randleau's car is fast through that first section, but Zalewski can match it, and Zalewski almost goes in the wall trying to match it. But then it gives him a little bit of space on the transition. Big angle from Zalewski. Zalewski had to back out of it. And Zalewski's made a big error, or has Randleau made an error? It happened so fast in that moment. We'll look at it at the end of the run, but it's all going to come down to that, I think. As Randleau now transitions, Zalewski's a little bit all over the place in the chase position. As Zalewski now gets up onto the door, maybe driving a little bit in anger here, punching the door in of Oliver Randleau, and it's a messy one. But it's an exciting one. The judges are going to be going right back to that first 2 inner zones to see what happened on the exit of the second inner zone, because Zalewski stalled up. But was it Randleau that caused it, or was it Zalewski getting a little too greedy?
I mean, there was contact for sure, and I think that's what messed up Randleau going into that big outside zone there. Watch this transition. Was it big angle? No, Zalewski was too brave, took too much of a bite out of the wall. Look at this, front bumper was on it. And that is where the contact was made, and that was what upset Randleau, I think. I think it pushed him, and he wasn't able to transition into that outside zone, and that's what messed Zalewski up as well. Then he was angry, then he was fighting for it.
I think the judges, you know, we listened to David and Vernon and Kevin talk in those briefings, and a lot of them said, don't try and take too much of a bite out of the apple on the inner zone. Let the lead car do its thing, and then transition up onto the door. You get too greedy, there is no inside. If you're a wheel on the inside, as Zalewski found here, you're in the wall. So he'd nowhere to go there. And then I think it delayed Zalewski's transition. He had to do it awkwardly. So I'm not sure what way the judges will call it. We'll know if this all swings towards Randleau, that it was that mistake from Zalewski. But then Randleau had big mistakes and some stutters in the chase position. So it's going to be a long night for the judges here, and I think, you know what, the great thing is they've explained the technical side of this so clearly to so many drivers that the drivers themselves will know, and the body language from Zalewski to me.
Yeah, look at this, they're going back to the replay. I want to see the replay. You can see, sorry to jump on you again there, Dave. Look, I think that was Zalewski's fault. I mean, what worried me was the angle that Randleau fired through that front.
And I'm just looking at it from another point of view. Randleau, if there is no contact, doesn't make the wide arc back out to the next corner. So again, I'm not too sure.
I think there was a slight touch of contact, and I think that upset Oliver Randleau. And going back to what you just said, David Callas said to us, bumper to bumper is preferred. If you can take a bite without upsetting the lead car, go for it.
Well, if he's made contact and upset the lead car, we're going to know that this is going to go towards Oliver Randleau. Let's see what the judges go with. And it's going to be Adam Zalewski getting the win. And you know what? I'm thinking the more we talked about it towards the end, we're going to go over to Kevin O'Connell very quickly. Kevin, a quick one for you. Did it come down to that exit of the second inner zone?
Yeah, that had a very large part to play in it, Dave. But let's first go back to the first half of the battle and let's look at Zalewski's lead versus Randleau's chase. Zalewski having a very, very good lead, fulfilling all those zones like we specifically asked, and then Randleau having flashes of proximity, but also really shallowing up his angle. The car looked way too gripped up and too difficult to drive. So after the first run, Adam definitely coming away with an advantage for us anyway. You then switch him around, and Randleau, yes, that run really was decided by that second inner clip here in front of us. You could see that Zalewski was super aggressive around the first corner. He did have a little bit of a risk reward on the first transition and dove onto Randleau's door, but if you slow that transition down, Randleau brakes just in front of us here at inner zone 3, something that we 100% said that was not to be done. You can only start decelerating once you have completed your second transition. So that was a major no-no from us. We then said that it was Randleau that was at fault for that slight contact there, and it was a major disadvantage then from the rest of the run.
Well, how do they see it, Ian? How do they see it?
Me and you completely missed the break-in.
Completely. We might as well have been looking into a field of cows. Missed it completely. Broke. You can't be doing that. That's going to lose you the battle.
You can't brake, Dave.
You can't brake that direction. You got to
Nope.
brake the other way. That makes perfect
There we go.
sense.
Talking about braking, it's going back now on the line, and it will be a man that's broke his car alongside another man that broke his car as well. It is going to be Oran Nielsen to take on Max Miller. Both of these guys destroying the backs of their cars, the wheels, every part of them.
I mean, whatever about Oran Nielsen, his car has, it's been around the world a little bit, but Max Miller's car was brand new a couple of weeks ago,
Yep.
and now it is absolutely destroyed. Ukraine versus Norway, Oran Nielsen versus Max Miller. Here we go, another spot in the top 16 for granted. Nielsen coming in with a big old angle. That spoiler and that boot lid flexing on that first wall. Max Miller backed out a little bit and said, not too sure I want any part of that, but now he's got to get back into it. Nielsen with a nice switch of direction there. Nielsen looking like he's collecting all of the Mario coins on the edge of the track right now for the judges. And Max Miller straightening a little bit on the inside. Now there's got to be a big dive from Miller. He's got to make the move here towards the end, and he does get back into the fight, but he's on the inside of the track. Oh, Miller's in an awkward spot and shuts the car down. And where the problem was small, it became greater halfway through, and it became curtains towards the end. Max Miller looks to me like he's zeroed out before the finish line.
Yeah, he certainly did, Dave, and I think it comes back to that transition through the centre of the circuit, trusting the lead car to the second to last outer zone.
I'm going to put another point in here that Max Miller's car after the finish line hasn't moved under its own power.
Ah, okay, so maybe there's more to that than meets the eye. Here we go, let's say look back at the replay. Oran Nielsen's front bumper was on the wall there. Look at this, playing a dangerous game as he fires through. That's a big old car to be flying through. As he gets that transition done absolutely perfectly, the back bumper almost hanging off, gets into the outside zone nicely. He did leave it, in my eyes, a little too early. You can see him drop down, gets the transition done, but watch Max Miller. He's on the inside edge of the circuit. Looks where he positions the car. Then he can't get that car back into the outside zones, and then he finds himself way down on the inside. Look, he's firing it on angle. He's trying to get it up there. It doesn't work for him, and he finds himself way, way down.
Well, apparently Max Miller is going back to the start line, saying that he has got power. He's going back there again. Not sure what happened there. I mean, these cars are pretty finicky things. You work on them every day, Ian, and they are not predictable.
They're temperamental.
Yeah,
Temperamental,
temperamental.
Dave.
Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they decide the smallest component, that's probably €1 in the car, causes the whole problem.
Yeah.
So Oran Nielsen, absolutely nothing left in the back of that car after so many hits this year. Greatest hits of Oran Nielsen. There would be a long list.
Imagine if it was a video, like, playlist.
Yeah.
There'd be hundreds of them.
There'd be so many songs on the Oran, and it'd be all referencing to walls.
Yeah.
All of it. But I'll tell you one thing, that Max Miller now in the lead position, he's got to be tidy here. I'm not sure what he's got to do to get back into it. Oran Nielsen, though, we have watched him in the past be a little bit over-aggressive, so he's got to manage that as they come through the gears and into that first corner. Nielsen firing in very late. Nice from Nielsen, but he straightened up and made a big error. Nielsen's in the wall, and that's a big mistake. Almost as big a mistake as what Max Miller made on the first. It looks to me like Nielsen's in trouble. He's hit the wall again. It's a fall-apart moment from Oran Nielsen here for me. He's still in the fight, but something has gone very wrong. Miller's line not great coming out of there on the outside zone. Miller very wide, dropping off the track. This is a bit of a mess for both of these guys as they come through this last section. And Miller's on the wall. Nielsen's still in it, but Nielsen shuts down before the finish line. Is that a double zero? Is that a zero from Max Miller and from Oran Nielsen?
Well, the white line, Dave, is the end of the scoring zone. You have to be sideways past it. I'm going to say that is a double zero. I'm just saying, this goes back to the judges. I'm just commenting on what I'm seeing. I want to go back to the replay because Oran Nielsen made big contact with the side of Max
there's
Miller's.
fluid leaking from the front of Oran Nielsen's car.
That would be where Oran Nielsen hit Max Miller in front of the commentary tower on the transition. And I wonder if that's oil. That looks like oil leaking out of Oran Nielsen's car.
Oil cooler down that corner.
Yeah, there is an oil cooler in that corner. I think he's hit it. Oh, look at the oil on the front wheel.
Well, that's going to definitely not make it easy to drive around. Look at the oil pouring onto the front wheel. So that's why he was so wayward afterwards.
And that was the contact with the car. Yeah,
with the inside. Or was it contact with Miller, or was it contact with the inside clip? I think it was the inside clip he hit with the wall there. I'm not sure. So much happens.
So much happens.
How do we?
Look at this. Right, let's look back at the replay. Where did it all go wrong? Nice initiation from Oran Nielsen. Max Miller not probably as deep as we'd like to see him. Oran Nielsen catches a load of understeer. Look at that car.
I'm gonna go out there and say, is that leaking from the start line and just causing that understeer, that oil on the front wheel?
But watch the transition. Well, I'm not sure, Dave. Do you know what? We'd be firing all of the.
I'm a great guy for speculation.
Speculation in the air for that one.
Let's see if he does make contact with that side of the car.
Watch Max Miller's car.
He hits it. Yeah, he hits it there. That's probably what. Yeah, that makes more sense. I liked my speculation, but this is more factual.
Look at this. Look how close he is. Bam! Hits him right there, right in front of the camera.
And all of a sudden, then the oil's starting to pour onto the wheel.
We're going to see it better on this camera angle. Sorry, Dave. Watch this. Ready? Hits the wheel. Watch the bumper. Bam! I think that was the contact with the oil cooler, and we see the oil cooler, you know, on that last image leaking
and
oil.
I think, you know what, that's going to have to...
Look, I'm taking a cheeky look out the commentary booth window. The oil spill and where the granules have gone down are right in front of where we are, all the way around the circuit. So, but now it comes down to what is going to happen in the battle situation. How do the judges decipher who goes through to the top 16? This one, not an easy one. I can see them. I'm taking a look over my shoulder. I can see all of the judges deliberating, looking back at the replays, fast forwarding.
Well, there's a lot of oil drop now. That's the problem. And I think...
But then did Max Miller brake? Did Max Miller brake? Is that why there was contact?
Well, we jumped all in.
We missed that before.
On the Randalou and the Zalewski battle, and then when I watched it back, I went, that is exactly what happened. He broke in the wrong direction, which you're not allowed to do.
Is that what Max Miller did?
Is that what Max Miller did? I mean, I'm not a judge, thank God. I'm not a judge, but I do understand that they're being very consistent in their judging, and they're saying the same thing for the same runs. There's no difference of opinion. So they're going to have a good conversation on this, and I think we're going to have a bit of a clean-up on aisle 9 here because there's a lot of oil on the track.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, it goes from that second inner zone all the way out around both ends of the circuit.
The entire circuit,
The entire circuit pretty much is covered in oil.
Now, the one thing I've got to say is, and just put another point there, is that if the car has lost that much oil around, that can't be good for, I mean, let's say I'm not an expert, but if you've lost...
Don't you dare start doing these speculations.
You've lost a lot of oil out of the car.
Is the engine dead as well?
Yeah, because that, to me, I mean, it could be a trickle, that's fine. But to me, that's, you know, probably...
Are you going to guesstimate how many litres there?
600 metres of oil there. If I was to calculate that into litres, that would be a bit.
You've just probably, a bit. You bowed out of that real quick.
Yeah, that'd be quite a bit.
Do you know why? Because there's probably someone at home that does all that sort of fluid dynamic mapping, and they're like, yeah, this is how many litres is down there.
I will not be disproving that a bit. There's a bit of oil on the track.
If there's a bit of oil, yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely coming out of that oil cooler. From the contact, the contact in question, who's at fault, we don't know. And of course, we'll hear from our judges very soon.
I'm looking down. I'm taking a cheeky look out the window because I've got such a good view of the circuit. I can see where the contact was made, and I can see a spray of oil going across the track. So that was instant. That was instant for Aaron Nilsson. He continued the run, but now I go back. I go back to what the judges were saying.
Well, I'll tell you what. Right now, let's stop speculating. Well, let the judges deliberate, and let's go to James Dean, who's through to the top 16. Third in the weekend around, Becky. Good win for James Dean there. He's into the top 16 and ready to climb towards those top 3 steps in the championship.
Absolutely, Dave. Now, James, it must feel great to get the monkey off your shoulder and get through that top 32 battle. Now, what is it like when you sit on that start line and you know you need to get through this battle to get into the show? Can you even try and explain that to us at home?
Yeah, so it's an extremely challenging layout. This event for me personally is unbelievable. I've come to Poland many times and we've had huge stadium events all across Poland in the past, but this is definitely the best one. The atmosphere is insane. We got a lot of Irish fans here, we got a lot of Polish fans and people from all over the world. For me, it's just a pleasure to be driving here, but it's super intense.
You've been drifting for 15 years now. You've been around the world. Can you believe the level of the driving?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. This year especially, I think it's after jumping up a new level. You see, this is only top 32 and you can see how hard everybody is pushing in the lead run and in the chase run. It's super difficult. If you're not willing to push hard and take risks, you know you're not going to move on to the next round. So it's very challenging, not only for me, but for all the drivers. But it's such an amazing feeling putting on a show in front of this crowd.
Now, we do have to talk about qualifying yesterday. I mean, it's been a very long time since you sat with a 0 after your first run. What was going on with the car? Can you explain for us?
Yeah, yesterday was definitely a challenging day for us. We had an issue in our first practice run, but we quickly got it sorted. And then before my first qualifying run, I noticed the steering was heavy, driving from the pits to the grid area. We reset the car. It felt normal until I was at the start line, but you know, we can't pull out. It felt fine on the first corner, and just as I was making my first transition, didn't react the way I was expecting and hit straight into the wall. So it was a very tough way to start, but we went, look at this crowd, it's unbelievable. We just had to reset the guys, my team got the car sorted. This is crazy. The team got the car sorted and we got back out for a second run, scored 95 points and qualified third, so brilliant.
This crowd, I mean, 10,000 people are in this stadium to watch you guys drive tonight. Of all the stadium events that you've ever been to, is this the biggest?
This is definitely by far the biggest. Huge congratulations to Drift Masters for putting on such a show. This is unbelievable. Let's hope this can continue for many years, and we'll keep putting on a show for as long as we can. So I absolutely love it.
We have to talk about your neighbour, Conor Shanahan. That is just the worst way to go out with your championship hopes. You know what that feels like, don't you?
Absolutely. It's happened to us in the past. You know, small issue can cost you a championship, and it was heartbreaking. I almost felt really upset, you know, at the start beforehand, and all of my team were jumping in with the Shanahans trying to get it sorted, but unfortunately they just found out the power steering issue right before his run. So upsetting, not ideal, but I know Conor's going to come back fighting, that's for sure.
So my last question, up next, I think you have Adam Zalewski.
Yep.
That is going to be a difficult battle. He has been driving on point all weekend. You're going to have to throw it all down, James, I think.
100%. We'll do our lead run first, try to put down to the best lead run we can. And I just watched his chase run there, and he's so aggressive. So I know he's going to be super aggressive on me, and I'm going to have to take some chances. And that's the only way you can get to the final tonight anyway. So we're either going to be lucky or unlucky. Let's see how it goes.
I feel like we almost need to start joining in with this Mexican wave in a minute. It's just going mental in here. Like, the atmosphere is insane. Do you have anything to say to your Irish fans around the world in this arena?
Oh, thank you to everyone, not only Irish fans, but fans from all over the world that support me. It's the reason I keep coming back no matter what happens. We never give up. And huge shout out to everyone that made the trip from Ireland this weekend to support myself, Dwayne and the Shanahans. We really appreciate it. Let's put on a good show and see how we go.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, guys.
I'll tell you one thing, Becky, this arena has exploded, and if you're a fan of drifting from, you know, if you're a new fan, you're stepping into the greatest time of drifting. If you're an old school fan, did you ever think you would see 10,000 people on their feet, Mexican waves, the best in the business going door to door, drama at every corner, and drama, which is about to come next from Kevin O'Connell and the crew, because this decision between Oran Nielsen and Max Miller is still being deliberated by the judges, and we saw the oil dropped on the track. We're one battle left to go in the top 32, and it's a long wait for Dwayne McKeever and Joachim Andersen, who are the final battle of the 32. The fans are pumped. We're heading towards the top 16. We know the championship is going to be decided in the top 16. Everything you've ever wanted as a fan is happening right now, and we are pumped, you're pumped, the crowd are pumped, and those drivers are pumped, and this is what we did it all for those many years. Moments like this and decisions dropping in, and it's going to be a split decision, and it's a one more time between Oran Nielsen and Max Miller. I have absolutely no idea what's going on anymore. And Kevin O'Connell, the three ECUs in the judging tower have been computing for 10 minutes, and a decision is a one more time, Kevin. They're throwing it all at you tonight.
Yeah, Dave, I definitely have a high heat warning flashing on my dash here. That was a tough one to call. So we had to look through our rule book, and the reason that it took so long is that we were looking for an instance where you have a double incomplete in the chase run. Do you therefore just say that it's a one more time, or do you compare lead to lead then as well? So we don't have a very specific rule for this instance, and while we did look at both lead runs when you're comparing it, even though there was a double incomplete in the chase run, in me and Vernon's opinion, we didn't deem that there was enough separating both drivers in the lead to lead position to deem it one way or the other. David going slightly otherwise, he would have said that Orhan did enough in his lead run to deem it that he was going to take the win overall. But yeah, definitely a tricky one for the rule book here, but overall it was a split decision, and as you can see, it was going to one more time.
Kevin, I'm glad you're here today because I'm holding his hand, Kevin, because I need him to guide me through what's happening.
It's like your dad holding your hand, walking you through the park.
I'm like, Kevin, what's happening? What's going on? Why is the rule book being thrown open every 20 minutes. But I'm just going to explain, what's happening right now. The track is completely covered in granules, and there's sweepers everywhere. There's a fire truck out there. I'm not sure what's going on. There's Mexican waves going on in the grandstands. There's people screaming and shouting. It is nuts right here. But I'll tell you what, now this goes to a one more time. We have to wait for Oren Nielsen, who we thought would be out of competition because of the oil leak. Now his crew reckon they can fix his car if they can fix his car to get him back out for the one more time. So they're frantically in the pre-grid trying to get Oren Nielsen's car buttoned up. He's lost at least half an engine's worth of oil, is my very skeptical assumption. But they're going to put more oil in it, try and tighten up that oil cooler and see if they can get him back out for the one more time. Max Miller having some issues with his car as well, so they're trying to get that car back out for the one more time. The crowd don't care, they're going crazy either way, and we still have one more battle to go, which will be McKeever and Anderson left in the top 32. But now we've another one with this one more time.
No, we've got more than that.
Oh, have we?
Scrap that. We've got a one more time between Juha Ritinen and Bagsy before that finishes. So the top 32 isn't even over.
Ian, I need a little break here.
You'll get one in a minute, Dave.
I mean,
but for the moment, you're going to have to hold on to the handle in front of you and ride this one out.
I'm putting my seatbelt back on because we are ready to go. 3 more battles it is. And if you guys at home are as excited as we are for this, you're going to want us to feed you battles all night, because it's going to go to a top 16 at some point. A championship has to be decided. I have no idea. The crowd is just going absolutely bananas in here. Lights up. Conor Shanahan's in the middle of the Irish fans. He was crying the last time we saw him. Now he's jumping up and down smiling. It's infectious, the atmosphere here. You know, that's a real show of how much of a fan Conor Shanahan is of the sport. Not just, I mean, that's something I got to talk about here, is that yes, when the helmets go on, they get on that track, they're all killers, they're all animals, sharks, they're going after each other. But when the helmets go off, they stand back and say, look at what we as a group of drivers have created. Look at the atmosphere, look at the smiles, look at the cheers, look at the t-shirts, the flags, look at all of these 23 nations represented in the middle of the night in Poland in a track that didn't exist a couple of days ago. Did you ever think you would see things like this happen for drifting? I'll be honest with you, as much as I'm an integral part of the organization here, I never believed we would get to these moments. And right now, we're looking at history in the making. And right now, we're looking at 3 battles that I, again, have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. The rule book has been on page 14 to 27.
It's been on fire almost.
The pages are getting curled. It's been open that much. And then we've got battles, we've got crashes, we've got breakdowns, we've got failures, we've got underdog wins, we've got the championship still on the line, just about. With Jack Shanahan getting into the top 16. They're fixing that car in the paddock, I'm hearing, getting it all wound up and ready for the rest of it. And we got some heavyweight battles coming, and we're moving on to the next one. Dwayne McKeever, well, he hasn't had the best season by his standards. He came in as a rookie in 2019 and 2020, and he said, you know what, I'm here to win a couple of rounds, won the first 2. Ever since then, struggled a little bit for form. Austria, uncharacteristic error knocked him out. Engine failure in Riga, puts another engine back in. That is a billet RB28 in that car, and they've put another one in for this event. He said this track very similar to a track that he drives back home. And then we have Joachim Andersen, who has had moments of brilliance this year, has the stuff to do it, but now he's got to go out and do it, because I'll tell you what, he's up against a killer in Dwayne McKeever. But both of these guys have had moments of brilliance this year and moments of desperation and failure. They now look at one space in the top 16. It's got to be divided one way or the other. And I'll tell you what, they're both going in confident after practice and qualifying. So this is going to be an interesting one. And we have 2 one more times coming up after this before we get out of top 32. And I think everyone is almost going to need that small little break, because I'll tell you what, there is a lot more action, a lot more drama, and a lot more excitement to come tonight. And Dwayne McKeever, higher qualifier, 11th in qualifying, goes up against qualifying in 22nd, Joachim Andersen. You see the difference, not huge though when you put it between 89 and 82, when you look at, you know, qualified 11th and 22nd, but there wasn't much between them. Heat indicator swings to McKeever. He's got the more trophies, he's got the more wins, but he hasn't had the best year. Got to button it up now, put in a good lead run. He's going to be fast, expect him out of the blocks quick here. Joachim Andersen's going to have to deal with that. He's going to know from his team, you cannot let him into that first corner a couple of car lengths ahead, and that's going to be the tail of the tape for this battle, staying with him on the inside and making sure you make the move. But if anything has been proven tonight, we know absolutely nothing. You know absolutely nothing. Everybody knows absolutely nothing. It's all down to those 60 seconds or a minute around that track, and McKeever comes off the line. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Joachim Andersen, though, takes that shallow line and loses a whole lot of ground as McKeever now puts foot to floor, gets into the outside zone a little late, but makes it work as he starts to apply the pressure. Joachim Andersen trying to play catch-up, shallow through that second in the zone, dials in a lot of angles, going to almost over-rotate. Now he's on the
inside. Joachim Andersen feeling the pressure of Dwayne McKeever as he fires through the centre of the circuit. McKeever looking for that perfect line into that second to last outside zone as McKeever sticks it to the wall. High up on the bank he goes as he gets it across the line. Andersen on the ropes.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, I just said it right before the run, you can't let Dwayne McKeever get away. Super fast car, very fast driver, and he got away from him very quickly there. And clever driving from McKeever, didn't wheel spin coming off the line, used all the pace in that car, maybe 700-800 horsepower, 900, who knows what these guys have. He said they put it on the dyno, it spun off the dyno at some 700-800 horsepower figure. He said, I'll tell you what power it is, super fast. That's what he said to me in the pits. And a new benchmark speed, not surprised by this. 73 kilometers an hour, smashes the benchmark speed around the track. You're looking at the fastest man on the circuit today, Dwayne McKeever. And Joachim Andersen not able to hang, almost went into the wall and almost rotated in the chase position. Big errors. And you know what, Dwayne McKeever doing something that someone hasn't done in a while, giving the judges something easy to decipher. Perfect lead run, got it all done, and Joachim Andersen making some errors. But as we noticed before, Torani Kavia was about to take it home. Car shuts down. You just don't know. Every corner is a challenge. And David Karkoshik, who got the rub of the green, Conor Shanahan not making it to his battle. Karkoshik, we'll see him later in the top 16. He's getting a little bit of luck after a bad start to the weekend with engine failure. And now Andersen in the lead position. McKeever's team will be on the radio saying, you have a massive advantage here, Dwayne. It's up to you, but I wouldn't go too close. Well, then you're trying to tell a very talented driver to back down. And McKeever is not backing down, goes in very close into that first corner as McKeever pulls it back up onto the door. And Joachim Andersen on a nice lead run here. McKeever taking a risk on the inside zone, gets away with it, McKeever, but just about, and gets away with it again. Unbelievable transitions from Dwayne McKeever here as he doesn't need to be this close, but he's challenging himself to adapt to that lead car. And as they come across the center section, expect McKeever to use all that pace to get up onto the door, and here he is, sealing his fate into the top 16 in my position. And Joachim Andersen doing a great job showing us exactly the potential we could have seen. Unfortunately, it was that chase run from Joachim Andersen. I think this one's going to be decided by.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Dave. I think that one, and I mean, you said it, nailed on the head for that quote. An easy one for the judges. They've had some seriously hard calls today, and they've had some seriously easy ones, but I think that was an easier one for them. They see the problems with Andersen, no proximity. Look at the transitions from Dwayne McKeever. He took the risk and it paid off. Joachim Andersen gave him all of the lead line to chase though, and you know what, for me, McKeever just made use of it.
I think McKeever, it was almost unfortunate for Joachim Andersen because he couldn't catch the lead car.
No.
And then he gave a great lead run for Dwayne McKeever to chase, so he gave him all the opportunity to look good. And I think you've got to say, from Dwayne McKeever's perspective, respect to him for going so aggressive. But I think we watched this with Oliver Evans earlier on. Why back off at this point when you know you've got to be close in your top 16 battles? There's not going to be a battle for the rest of the night that you're not going to have to be on the door. And you can see even fellow competitors, David Karkoshik, they're smiling, they're entertained, they're watching the battles, and Joachim Andersen, you can see the frustration, not happy with that chase run, knew he made an error, and I think the body language is as good as the judging decision here, as going through to the top 16 will be Dwayne McKeever from Ireland, and he goes through, smiles all around, and he gets the win, and I think the Irish fans have plenty to celebrate. 3 out of the 4 Irish drivers now through to the top 16, and plenty of Polish drivers in there as well, and Zalewski and Wiańczek. I think we're going to see that play out over the evening. And as far as I'm concerned right now, Dwayne McKeever, job done, top 32, and he's happy that he is through to the top 16. And I'll tell you one thing, from his perspective, a strong finish to the year is what he wants.
Yeah, exactly that. A strong finish to the year is exactly what he wants. Well, we go back to one more time to two people that both want a strong finish to the year. A little scrappy, some contact, both guys needing to clean it up, make it look a little prettier out there, and it will be Juha Rittinen to lead out Steve Baggsy Biaggioni.
I could not tell you what's going to happen here because the first run was incredibly unpredictable. I think we didn't see the best of either driver, and it was a tentative sort of scrappy run. We know these guys are the best in the business. I think now they'll have learned a little bit about pace, they'll have learned a little bit. They've also got, you know, 2 runs under their belt in competition here, so I think this one is going to be a little bit closer. Now watch Baggsy here. He thinks a lot of the time of being aggressive, and I think this is one of those times he's not going to back down.
No, he's not going to back down. You can see him now bringing the pace. He doesn't want to let Juha Rittinen get away. Rittinen destroys the car. Into the wall he goes and puts it into a spin, and Rittinen knew he had to go hard.
Yeah, so uncharacteristic from Juha Rittinen. We haven't watched.
Incredible save from Baggsy.
I mean, Baggsy, I think he knew he was going in, and I think if Baggsy was any... I mean, I was just about to comment that Baggsy had not gone in as aggressive, and it's a good thing that he didn't, because I don't think there would have been anywhere for him to go if he didn't. Now, Juha Rittinen does save the car by spinning the car into the wall. There is going to be a considerable amount of damage on the back of this car, because I saw a lot of things explode. So let's see, when he turns around here, what that damage is. And yeah, not much left of the back of Juha Rintinen's car. That taillight not in the correct position, Ian.
No,
I'll tell you that. I mean,
don't think that's where they go from the factory.
That is not where they're factory fitted. And you can see both rear bars on the car absolutely destroyed. But that's what they're there for. A lot of these cars are designed to take that impact in the rear end, protect the fuel tank, all that good stuff. But Banksy is going to see Juha Rintanen facing him through the first corner and go, well, got an advantage here. This has gone, I didn't have to do much. Rintanen almost lost it on his own.
Yeah, yeah, Rintanen really, but like I say, Dave, you know, at this level where they are now, Rintanen had to push it 110%. And pulls back to the line, though. I don't think that any damage on the car. I think just damage to the wall. So our safety team out there making sure that's right. And look at this from Rintanen. Goes in very, very hot on the throttle, nice and early. I think that's the problem. He tags those plastic signs, and the steel work on the back of the car lifted it up, caused the wheels to spin a little bit more, puts him into a spin.
Well, he's hit the wall before the first outer zone, so he's gone in very deep, very early. And when he tags it there, I think he panics a little bit and says, I'm going in harder than I think I am. I think he knew at that point he wasn't controlling it. He puts the throttle down, but then he actually has a little bit more ground and he spins it out. So you watch Banksy here. If you're in Banksy's car right now, imagine you're seeing this. Look, all of a sudden, right there, how do not make contact. He's on the, you can see he's on handbrake and front brake, Banksy, there to avoid it. Watch this. Banksy comes in, he sees the overtaken now on the brakes. Oh, millimeters. That is a nervous moment.
I reckon Juha Rintanen could see the whites of Banksy's eyes there.
I think what's happening there is they're both looking directly at each other and they're going, uh-oh. Well, they get away with it. That's why we can laugh and smile. Well, I mean, the back end of Rintanen's car, which, let's be honest, wasn't in great shape when we started this run.
Hey, come on. Looked all right.
It was.
It's a few scratches, though.
Yeah.
Bit of polish would have been fine.
Sure.
No, it needs more than that, didn't it?
I
Come
think
on.
there wasn't much left to start with. That tail light has said, I'm just going to go home now, if that's okay. I feel like I've done my bit for the weekend.
Exited the chat for the weekend.
Yeah, he's just said, forget about it. And then Rintanen will go back to the start line. Banksy will go back to the start line. And this is what Banksy wants now. He's got the advantage and now he's in the lead position. So therefore, it's up to him just to do a clean pass to the circuit and he goes to the top 16. Rintanen's car is in ribbons at the back. As you can see, every corner is now destroyed. But integrally, you'll see the thicker bars protecting the radiator, the differential, the fuel tank, all that being protected in the back. And that's, it's almost like a crumple zone. You've got lighter bars on the edge, a little bit heavier then, and then very heavy on the inside so that you don't split a fuel tank or anything like that. So sometimes these crashes can look very dramatic, but the car is designed to take those hits. They didn't turn up to this championship and say, well, there won't be any walls here. They knew all about that from their experience. And we've got a puncture for Steve Banksy Biaggioni, which now puts another spanner in the works. Now, was the puncture caused by... Well, I'm not sure.
No, it wasn't. There's no way it can be caused by Juha Rintanen.
So has he got a puncture on his own, therefore cannot complete the second run, which would then make it 2 incompletes? I have no idea.
Oh, my God. Can we just have something
normal? A battle would be lovely.
Can we just have a normal battle?
A normal battle where a guy does a lead and a chase and then, someone wins at the end and then it's like, hey, everything's fine. We have had nothing but drama. And it shows how unpredictable this track is. It also shows how difficult it is to just keep your car going around here.
I don't even know where we go from this. I don't. Well, I mean, Juha Rintanen obviously will leave the line and fulfill a run, so technically gets the win and advances through.
Is it down to the fact that it's 2 incompletes, or is it the fact that Banksy has to bow out of competition? But then Rintanen spun and then won the battle, which doesn't make any sense. And it also doesn't make sense for Banksy to go out, but then it also doesn't make sense for Banksy. He won't be allowed to leave the line with a puncture.
So we're hearing word that the judges are actually trying to see if there was any contact. But I don't think there would. It's on the wrong side of the car. There's going to be no contact there, really.
I don't think the back left of Banksy's car would have been compromised. So where did he pick up the puncture? That's the question. I mean, we all ask that when we get a puncture. Where did we pick it up?
Where did we get that one from? Then you look at that screw that comes out the tyre and you're like, oh, damn, where did you come from?
Yeah,
where did I find you?
A screw?
Where was that? I mean, look, there's no way.
Well, let's see if the car, when he initiates, doesn't have a puncture. And then he comes on the brakes. Oh, how they don't make contact there. Banksy stops up. Now, does he run over any debris from Juha Rintanen's car? Is that something that
it's on the wrong side. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that in my mind I can assume.
Now, watch the debris from Rintanen. I don't know if the debris gets that far.
I mean, have we ever in your life, if it was debris, could you say, oh, debris from the car spinning knocked out your...
Welcome to... Puzzle Masters.
Puzzle Masters.
We have no idea how anything is happening or when it's happening. It's almost like Cluedo. was Juha Rintanen with the shard of glass on the first corner.
It's like he's got James Bond car.
Yeah.
Threw out some of those spiked little ball
Deploy
things.
the spikes.
Deploy the spikes.
Once you knew he was spinning,
it was like deployed the spikes and knocked Bagsy out.
So,
look, Bagsy doesn't even know. I don't think anyone really knows now what this situation entails. Technically, if I'm correct, if Rintanen leaves the line, does he get the win because Bagsy can't complete? Is that how it plays out?
What I'm hearing now is, again, the rule book coming into play here, and the race director and the judges are having to deliberate this, because I'll tell you what, it's going to come down to rules and regulations versus who was at fault and what happened, and also where it left us after the first incomplete. So judges and the race director having a conversation on this one. An unprecedented situation that I haven't seen before, and of course tonight would be the night for all this to happen, because I've never seen a car, you know, spin out and the other car has a puncture and it can't leave the line, and this is just crazy stuff. I mean, this top 32, if this is the top 32, and usually the top 16 is a far more exciting affair, what does the top 16 entail if this is the top 32? I've never seen many of these incidents happen in the history of drifting in a place where we've never seen drifting before.
No. And well, here we go. I'm getting word in my ear right now. Juha Rintanen is going to stay on circuit. Bagsy is being told to leave the circuit. Judges, race director saying he is not at fault. That Rittanen's not at fault. That Bagsy picked up the puncture all on his own. He can't complete the second run. He has to leave the circuit. Rintanen will get a bye run. And Rintanen, in a turn of fortune, will advance through to the top 16.
And that's
how about that?
And just to clarify that for you guys watching at home, how that works is it's not a 0 for Bagsy on the second run because he can't start the run.
No.
He's not allowed to start the run with a puncture or a DB, so therefore he's disqualified from the battle, meaning that even though there's an incomplete, you can see him doing a burnout very angrily at the edge of the circuit.
Oh, he's angry. You can see, his face, yeah.
But Rintanen is able to complete the second run, meaning that he's able to finish the battle, pardon the pun, irregardless of the decision. He can finish both runs and Bagsy cannot. And that means that Rintanen, by completing one run, even though it's lead and chase, he will score over one run where Bagsy will not.
Well, he only needs to score one run, yeah.
Yeah, and Bagsy would have got the advantage from the first. However, he's disqualified, not a scoring situation. So if it was a scoring situation where we would see a balance, we would have one more time. But however, he's not able to continue, which means that he's out of the competition. And Rintanen is able to continue, even though he hit the wall and spun out. Never saw it happen before, but I have been informed that the rule book has been looked over, and that is the rule book. And I mean, we don't like going to the rule book to decide battles, but unfortunately, in these circumstances, you have to.
I mean, the rule book, as you said earlier, Dave, the pages are all messed up. They're all up in the air because I think at this point they're going to start gluing them to the wall so they can get to them for easy reference.
I think they're at like page 75, column B, reference E. It's like, to be honest, this is stuff that's never happened before, but that's why there is a rule book to decide these things, and it's a harsh rule.
Well, we need to make this one official. We'll get the graphic up on the screen, and we will make it official for you guys at home and for everyone in the arena as Juha Rintanen makes his way around to exit the circuit.
And I just can't understand where that puncture came from. I mean,
I
didn't have a puncture when he initiated, and then he didn't hit Rintanen, and none of the debris from Rintanen's car, there wasn't much of Rintanen's car for debris anyway.
But he did no drifting. He drove 100 foot, parked the car up, and that was it. So I'm not sure. There we go. We make it official, and there we go. Rintanen gets a win. Kevin O'Connell, I do believe we're going to come to you because you need to explain to everyone at home how thick the rulebook is and how many pages you've gone through so far. Kevin, over to you to explain that one.
Yeah, look, another extremely difficult decision here from us, and again, delving into the absolute depths of the rule book. But I think you and Dave explained it very, very well. The first run, you had unfortunately went off and had an incomplete. Very important to note, it was an incomplete. But unfortunately, because the track marshals here deemed that Bagsy was not able to take off from the line due to that D-beat, that is a disqualification, which is worse. He is not able to compete in the second half of the run. Therefore, Juha only has to complete the first initiation, and therefore he automatically gets the win. It's a very unfortunate turn of circumstances, but there is nothing we can do about it here in the judging tower.
I mean, I've seen things tonight that I've never seen before in drifting, and we're only halfway through. We're not even halfway through.
Well, here we go. It is the final run of the night, and it will be one run Oran Nilsson didn't get the car fixed in time.
No.
Max Miller gets himself out on track, on the line, Dave. It will be a bye run. Oran Nilsson out of competition. What a top 32 it has been. I don't even think I have any nerves left for top 16 or the final.
I'm going to need a little time to process this, Ian, because I have no idea what's been happening. Then Max Miller only has to complete the first corner of the circuit and initiate, which it looks like he has done, meaning he will get the win and go through to the top 16. Oran Nilsson not able to fix the oil cooler on his car. Obviously, car not able to come back out on track with oil leaking out of it. Therefore, Max Miller gets the win. And that is a bit more straightforward because we watched Oran Nilsson.
It's a technical failure.
Technical failure, crashed into Max Miller and caused that issue. However, the Banksy situation I've never seen before. I mean, we had a car out of competition before we even started the top 32 with Conor Shanahan. That set the scene for the top 32, and the top 16 is now decided. And as far as I'm concerned, if that is any indication of what's about to happen here tonight, if you think this is going to be a straightforward finish of the championship, you've been watching the wrong show. Because I'll tell you one thing, with Wiańczek and Shanahan still fighting it out for the championship, that's Jack Shanahan. James Dean now in a position that he could climb into the top 3 finish in the championship, and it all to play for in every single battle. So again, we go back to it again with Wiańczek and Jack Shanahan in this top 16, win or lose, that's the championship. Max Miller gets the win, officially going through to the top 16. And I'm going back to that again, saying that Peter Wiańczek wins, Jack Shanahan loses in the top 16, that's the championship. Same in the top 8, same in the top 4, and it could be the same in the final, regardless of how those drivers go. But here we have it. Commiserations for Conor Shanahan, and a very lucky, fortunate one for David Karkoschek getting through to the top 16. Sherba has engine failure, and Lindvall takes the win. Laurie Heinichen beats Max Heidrich after he went in the wall. Jakob Kroll and Pontus Hartmann had an actual battle, which was very novel in the top 32, and Kroll got the win. Wiańczek taking down Ramarhovsky with relative ease. Miko Keski-Korpi against Alex Holovnia, another crash for Holovnia. Tornik Kvyat, car shuts down when he had half the battle won against Enver Haskasap, and Kevin Piscalti didn't even have a battle with Yaroslav Trash because here his car broke down. Jack Shanahan beat Norbert Samic after a big collision on the first corner. However, Jack Shanahan's own issues. Juha Rintanen, after about 14 one more times, beats Bagsy because he has a puncture. Diogo Correa dispatched David Spossop in a great battle. Oliver Evans does a good job against Christian Erlandson, who had a big understeer moment. James Dean takes down Henry Hampa after another collision and spin, and Adam Zalewski beat Oliver Rangelou after a bit of back and forth contact. Oran Nilsson crashed into Max Miller, broke his oil cooler, and Max Miller goes through, and Dwayne McKeever did what no one else had done and just had a clean run and a clean battle and got through. So that is what's happened in the top 32, meaning here's the battles coming through to the top 16. Some big ones, but some also very interesting ones. The ones you're looking at is Mika Keski-Korpi against Peter Wiańczek and Rintanen versus Shanahan. Those are the two, because that's the championship on the line. Now look at James Dean. In order to try and climb back points on Conor Shanahan's exit, he's got to go through ex-champion Adam Zalewski, 2 European champions of Drift Masters going head-to-head in the top 16, and a bunch of wild cards, I say, thrown in there as well, who are finishing now higher than they have all year at the final round at the most difficult track of the year, which also makes absolutely no sense. And we're moving towards that top 16 very, very soon. And I'll tell you one thing, if you're a drift fan, this is everything it's wanted to be. 8:25 local time, exclusively live on Red Bull TV. We have to take a breath, process all of that, and what I'm going to do is get ready for an incredible top 16. We'll see you guys right there.